This message is brought to you by the Colorado Broadcasters Association and your local station.
Another fine Colorado weekend as we say goodbye to summer. But the Broncos are kicking off Sunday night. And on the morning show, Jimmy Sengenberger in for me on Monday. Victor Davis Hanson will be back. Your calls and so much more. Have a great weekend. And then wake up with Randy Corcoran, 5 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday on KLZ 560.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver.
Listen live at KLZ560radio.com.
KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. She'll do a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque. Whatever that is. Performance and image is what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Drive Radio. I'm your host, John Rush, and in studio with me today is Dean Carlson. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'll give you a little wave. Wave to the camera. There we go. Hopefully our sound is better this week. I'm going to have Larry check us to make sure we can hear sound and all that. If you don't hear sound coming out of the YouTube channel, by all means, let us know, and I'll work on it again. I did some software updates during the week, and which updated the camera, and hopefully we are now good to go. So if somebody would check that for me, I would appreciate that. Just go to youtube.com and type in Drive Radio, one word. You'll find our channel, or go to drive-radio.com, and right on our homepage you'll actually see the video feed right there on the homepage. It's real easy to check that out. So if somebody would check that for me, I would appreciate it. Let us know that we've got sound and that you can see us and also hear us through the basically through the soundboard coming out of the studio here. So Dean, welcome.
Hi, John.
Dean is from Four Seasons. He's filling in for Ray today because Ray had a death in the family. His mother-in-law passed away, so he had to head out of town on short notice, so Dean's taking his place.
It's good to be here.
It's great having you, Dean. I appreciate you coming down and taking time out of your Saturday. I know that I'll speak on behalf of Ray. I'm sure he appreciates it very much also, so thanks for filling in. And just shows you the team effort that we have, not only in Drive Radio, but Colorado Select, all the different auto care centers that we've got in the group. All these guys are willing to help each other out, and we appreciate that very much. So again, listen to us. We're here every Saturday, 10 a.m., 1 p.m. We're followed by Sportsman's of Colorado at 1 p.m. I'll actually hang around and help those guys today. Scott Watley's actually out at a special event today in the southern part of the metro area. He's doing a seniors resource day out at a particular event that he's at. And so I'll be helping during that show, during the first little segment of that, just to make sure they get things fired off. So continue to listen to KLZ all weekend long. We appreciate it very much. Again, 10 a.m., 1 p.m. We're here every single weekend. My producer, Larry Unger, on the other side of the glass, and Matt, who's our engineer. Appreciate Matt and all that he does for us. But give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Any question. It's kind of a dreary, dark, sleeping in kind of a Saturday morning, but hopefully you've been up and about and going at it. The sun was trying to break through for a little bit on my way down, but it looks like it's Dean, it's kind of covered back up again, and I don't see a lot of sunshine this morning. So
it looks like rain today.
It looks like some rain today. So call us. I'd love to talk to you, whatever you want to talk about, 303-477-5600. I am going to talk today about, or we are going to talk today about, something I pulled off the internet. Favorite fall drives in Colorado. Right time of the year, the colors will start changing here in the next few weeks. We'll talk about some really key fall drives. If you have a favorite fall drive, something you really enjoy doing, maybe it's something you do every single year, please let us know. 303-477-5600. Call us, let us know what it is. I also want to talk today about suspension. That's always a big deal, how you can maintain it, what you need to be doing. And then truck and trailer maintenance. A lot of you guys are heading out, getting ready to go hunting. It's bird season. It's duck and geese season will be just around the corner. First rifle season's coming up. Archery and muzzleloading has already started. started. So a lot of you are already out and about. We're going to talk about how to properly get that truck and trailer ready to go. And my wife is now telling me that the sound is weird on YouTube, so let me make a slight adjustment and see if that helps. So whoever's listening, please tell me whether I just made an adjustment that helped. Anyways, we're going to talk about truck trailer maintenance, what you need to do to get ready for the fall. If we have time, and a lot of times we don't because you guys really dictate what we talk about here on Drive Radio, we'll get into some other maintenance things, how to put your car away for winter. We're not quite to that point yet. September and even October can be a great time of the year to still go out and do some car shows, rod runs, go up and enjoy the fall colors in your hot rod, those sorts of things. So it's not quite time to put that away yet, not quite time to put your lawn gear away yet either. I know Dean, my grass with all this rain we've had here the last few days, I'm going to have to get a baling machine here this afternoon or tomorrow to get mine. Yeah, I've got some goats, exactly. I'm not going to get mine mowed if I don't have some help. So the rain has definitely been a big help when it comes to keeping things greened up. My wife and I were commenting the other day, Dean, about how typically this time of the year it's getting real brown and dry and things aren't looking real well. Not the case. No, not right now. It looks really good out right now. Everything is nice and green. We've had ample moisture. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on the counter here. We've had no forest fires, at least in this particular area. In fact, I don't think we've had any. Matt, have we had any statewide at this point? I can't hear you. You're not up.
Not that I know of at this period of time. It's been rather nice this time of year.
Yeah.
Usually by this time of year, we've had 2 or 3, and I'm talking 2 or 3
major ones. That's right. I know we've been really lucky. So that's a great thing. Anyways, call us. We want to talk to you. This isn't about us. This is about you. 303-477-5600. Give us a call, and I'll get you right on air. I do want to talk quickly about the Mazda Miata. There was a launch this week that maybe some of you saw. The 2016 Miata was just announced. The Miata has become, really, it's got a cult following, and it has been around for a very long time. One of the only 2-seat sports cars, really, that's affordable that's left. And what I mean by affordable is you can buy that car for under $40,000. They do a great job with it. I drove the 2014 model just recently. Had a lot of fun driving the car. It's a blast to drive. The 2016 was just announced, and the 2016, if you haven't seen the looks of it yet, it's a very nice, sexy-looking car. Typically, I don't say that much about cars, Dean, but this car, they did a really good job with all of the lines and made the stance nice in the back, added some fender width to the rear. The car just looks great. All new interior. You'll enjoy it. So that car, I don't know yet exactly when that's going to hit the dealerships. When I know more about that, I'll let you know. But 2016 Miata just came out. I reviewed the 2014. That'll be on our website this week. It's already up on YouTube. Again, you can find all of our reviews on our YouTube channel. Please check it out. Drive Radio, all one word, on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, go to the browser, type in Drive Radio, all one word. You can't miss it. You'll find us. Subscribe to our channel. I would appreciate that very much. We do reviews every single week. Coming up in the show, I will talk about, I had an email on this, or actually somebody called in, I believe the last time I was on remote, Larry, somebody called in and said, we want the opinion of what would you buy, a Subaru Outback or a Jeep Cherokee? I will give you my thoughts on that. I just got done driving for a week the Subaru Outback, the all-new 2015 Outback, by the way. So we'll talk about that, which vehicle to drive. But again, hey, we want to talk to you. Give us a call. We'll get you on air, 303-477-5600. Any questions you've got? Last week we had a lot of questions about transmissions because Jeff was with us from Larry's Automotive. We talked about oil. We've talked everything. I'm trying to get Paul Leuenberger, our insurance agent, with us on air. I've got him scheduled here in the near future. He's had a lot going on with all of his car shows, etc. We're going to try to get him on with us. He is an expert when it comes to insurance. I just got done redoing some of my stuff with him. He's going to save me half on our insurance. So, Dean, half is a lot.
It's a lot of money.
A 50% savings is huge. That's on home, some car stuff, etc. His number, if you need to know it, is 303-619-9891. Again, Paul Leuenberger, American National Insurance, and of course also Isaac Bouchard, our local broker. Talked to Isaac this week, had a meeting with him, actually went to dinner with him one night this week. He is having a banner month when it comes to selling cars. Actually, I should say had a banner month in August, looking to do it again in September. If you need anything, new, used, selling, buying, advice, you name it, call him. Isaac will help you out. His number is 303-475-1462. All right, let's go to Mike, who's up next. We'll get him before we go to our first break. Mike and Sterling, what's going on today?
I called you last week about a problem with idle on my 3.1.
Yeah, on your Chevy.
Yeah, and you gave me a little advice there. I followed that, and by God, you're right.
Awesome. So you got her fixed.
Yeah.
You're the second person. I had an email yesterday from the other individual we had last week with the Bronco that was trying to get his F-150, or he was going to get his older Bronco, not an F-150, but a Bronco running with the distributor problem that he had, and he emailed me last night late and said, yep, you know what, I did exactly what you guys told me to do, and sure enough, it's running and working. So we like the positive feedback, Mike. I appreciate you calling in and telling us that.
Well, I appreciate your show.
Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you, and just shows you that, sometimes, Dean, we can give out some advice that helps.
Yeah, it works.
It's hard to know specifically. I will put a disclaimer out. We don't always know the exact circumstances surrounding, your vehicle, the problem you're having, the history, etc. So in some cases, it's a best guess. The two situations we just got done talking about, we had a pretty good idea of what was going on with the vehicle, Dean. They were older vehicles, had a pretty good idea of what needed to happen. We will always, 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 I'll add one more always to that, recommend that you get a diagnosis on whatever it is you're working on before you just start throwing parts at your vehicle, because that's when it gets expensive, right?
Definitely.
You definitely want to do that. So we'll talk more about that. If you've got questions, please call us, 303-477-5600. And I should mention, Dean is in Four Seasons Shop with Ray, and Dean actually works on vehicles every day, right, Dean?
All day long.
All day long. So we have a resident daily expert that's working on vehicles. If you've got questions, we have the answers for you. We've got the experts in studio, 303-477-5600. And you just heard from Mike that, a lot of times our advice we give out does help. And we appreciate all the feedback we get on that, all the positive feedback. So let's get into one of the fall drives. Let me bring this up real quick here. Give me 1 second, and I will get to this. I also put some stuff up on Facebook this last week that showed where the most popular cars are sold in each state. You can go and look at that. It's kind of interesting. In Colorado, it would happen to be the Ford F-150. Top-selling car in Colorado. That's really, there's no guess there. That one I would have pretty much figured that was the case. We sell a lot of trucks here in Colorado, buy a lot of trucks in Colorado is what I should say. Okay, so the keys to Colorado Gold. So this is called the Kev's Key Guide to Colorado Gold. And I put this up on our Facebook page also. So generally, the third and fourth week of September are ideal to take a long drive through the mountains. But you have to time it just right. It's difficult to predict exactly when the leaves are going to turn. Last year, the leaves were still nice all the way into the middle of October. But places change according to weather, etc. In fact, what we're going through right now, when most people don't know this, and if I'm wrong on this, somebody can call me, but I've always been taught the leaves change based upon daylight. Has nothing to do with the cold or any of that kind of stuff. A lot of people used to equate, a lot of us hunters used to equate the changes coming in regards to the cold and things like that, and that really has nothing to do with it. Where it kind of can get confusing is sometimes when we have cooler weather, that means there's less daylight because there's cloud cover early in the morning, cloud cover late at night. That shortens the daylight up a little bit. That's what triggers the leaf change. That's what I've been taught. If somebody out there has any information on that and you'd like to tell me otherwise, please let me know. I cannot verify that, but to my knowledge, the leaves change because of the time of the day, how much sunlight there is in the day. So, where do you go to see the best colors? We'll talk about that next. Don't go away. We're going to be right back here on Drive Radio. Call us. We want to hear from you, 303-477-5600. And I'm John Rush, along with Dean Carlson from Four Seasons on Drive Radio, AM 560.
We've all been there. You run to the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Your one-stop auto repair solution in northern Colorado at Fort Collins 4x4 Center. They service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From diesel pickups to economy cars, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. And they combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to Fort Collins 4x4, located just a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at Fort Collins 4x4 are committed to providing the professional and personal service you're looking for. Give them a call at 970-482-5500. 970-482-5500. Check them out on the web at FortCollins4x4.com or follow them on Facebook at FortCollins4x4.com.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutoJobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutoJobs.com and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application. Napa Auto Parts, an equal opportunity employer.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right, thanks for listening today. We do appreciate it very much, and I think we've got the YouTube settings about right. It's extremely difficult. You don't get a lot of adjustment with YouTube, so we're doing our best to get this dialed in. And part of it, we'll talk about at our first big break. Between Matt and I, we might have the board a little hot, and that might be affecting us, so we'll talk about that. Some of the guys that host other shows on this station, I think, are deaf, Matt, but that's a side note. So I got my volume all the way down. I hear just fine. I come in half the time, and the volume's about halfway up, and it's like, I don't know how those guys do that. I'd be deaf doing that. I'm already half deaf. So anyways, love to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-477-5600. All right, before I get into the fall drives, we've got Jerry up in Greeley with a question. Jerry, what's going on today?
I've got a O-Wing XJ Cherokee, and the electric door locks are intermittently not working. I'm wondering if maybe it's where the wiring goes through that flex boot between the door and the body panel. That might be degradation of the wire from the constant flexing. Does that sound reasonable?
All the door locks don't work, or?
Yeah. So I've got like the master control on the driver's door, and I can flip the lock button down as I'm getting out, lock all the doors, and then sometimes it doesn't work.
Do you have a remote fob?
No.
No?
What about if you use the passenger side?
Yeah, the passenger side seems to work.
Okay.
I would suspect more of a master switch.
Yeah, master switch, or
wires.
Yeah, you could be right on your wiring. Do all your windows work?
Yes.
So all your windows work, just the door locks don't.
Right.
I'm more with Dean on the switch itself versus the wiring.
Okay. So possibly that switch in the door.
Yeah, and wiring is one of those things where you're just going to have to trace it out and see. The one thing that would be easy for you to do, and this is a do-it-yourself tip, you can take that switch out, take a test light, and just see whether it's got power coming into the switch. If it does, then you know you don't have a wiring. Well, you theoretically don't have a wiring issue. At least on the wire coming into the switch, you may still have a problem on the outbound side, but the chances of having just one wire with a problem on that in that area, the door in that boot area, is pretty slim. Typically, you find more than one wire with a problem when there's an issue there.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like great advice. Can I hit you with another one?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, no, this first hour, we've got plenty of time, so go for it.
I was just talking to a friend this morning about a pickup truck that he was driving. It's actually a work truck, but anyway, he was driving it, and I don't know what year. He said it was a Ford V10 gas engine, and said it all of a sudden got really loud, and he discovered a spark plug had come out of the head, and he said that this engine, that there's a coil on each plug.
Yes.
And anyway, he just threaded the plug back down into the head, and as far as he can tell, everything's great now.
No, it won't be. It'll come out again.
Okay, so what's really going on there?
The threads have become damaged, if you would. That's probably the best way to say that, right, Dean? They pull. The threads pull is what happens. Let's back up. Number one, I can't believe Ford Motor Company has not been sued collectively over this issue, because every 5.4 from about 2000, or sorry, even 99 on up into the mid-2000s, if you don't have a problem, it's because you did a really, really good job of changing spark plugs at the right time and keeping up on your maintenance. Chances of having a plug blow out in a 5.4 are extremely high if you've not done proper maintenance.
So the female threads in the cylinder head, or what's
That's
damaged?
right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, they pull out, and the head is aluminum. And why they didn't put some sort of a steel insert into the aluminum head to handle the spark plugs, they did not. What they did, and here's the problem, they put a taper on the aluminum head, which the plug seats down into, and they just threaded the head, with the aluminum holes. They just basically ran a tap down it to create the threads for the spark plug. So over time, if you don't change plugs, and of course here's the other problem. They told us back then they were 100,000-mile engines. You didn't have to change spark plugs till then, right, Dean?
Yep.
That was the original intent. Problem is, if you left them in there that long, they essentially seized. So when you would go to pull the spark plugs out, you sometimes could pull threads out with it, or if they were in there long enough, believe it or not, they would just get so weak, the compression inside the cylinder would just blow the plug out, threads and all. And that's probably what's happened in his case. Now, he's probably threading it back in. There's probably 2 or 3 threads left, allowing him to do that. If he gets a scope or something, he can look down inside that hole and check those threads. I guarantee you he'll find damage there.
Okay. So what would have been the recommended service interval for the...
About 40 to 50,000 is what we tell people. 60 at the most. Yep.
Okay. Now, was there another Ford engine where it seems I recall somebody saying there was an issue with the male threads on the plug going too far into the cylinder and getting gunked up to where they didn't want to come back out? Or am I mistaken?
I don't believe that's the case. Not that I know of on a Ford. The only thing on a Ford engine that's like that becomes a problem is the later model 5.4, so 2005 and newer. If you leave those in too long, the plug itself, the electrode, can actually break off and stay in the head and cause a problem, and that's a whole separate issue. So all those 5.4s, it's important to change plugs at 50 to 60,000 miles.
Okay. So does he have to do an helicoil?
Yeah, there's more than a few kits on the market. There's really only 1 or 2 that really work right. You really need to have the right repair kit. It's a series of steps that you go through to fix those threads on a 5.4, and if you don't do it properly, it will then blow the insert back out, not just the plug itself. So it's important that you put the right insert using the proper method to do that. In my fleet shop, we've actually gone to using the Ford tool. It works the best of anything we've used yet. I just sold the old tool I had and bought the Ford tool, and that's the best. And that's not cheap. For somebody at home to buy that and do that for just one engine, it's not cost effective. You got to be working on multiple 5.4s to make that tool worthwhile.
All right. Well, I'll pass that along.
All right, tell him, and if you've got any questions, tell him to call or email us, and we'll definitely help him out, Jerry.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Great question, by the way. Those, Dean, I'm sure you have fixed more than one 5.4-liter engine, because there's not a technician out there that hasn't.
More than we care to say.
Yeah, and it is important, and that's a reminder that even though sometimes the factory will say, the manufacturer will say, you can run X amount of miles on a particular, maintenance. Well, in theory, that's great. We talked about this some last week. The theory is great, but the real-world application, in a lot of times, doesn't match what they've recommended. And that same attitude, how I want to say that same feeling comes through, whether it be spark plugs, or whether it be certain hoses, whether it be certain fluid flushings, and when they're due. You heard us talk last week when it came to even some of the CVTs and when to actually maintain and manage the fluids in those actual transmission boxes, and it sometimes differs from what the factory is telling you. Now, I will say this: the later model cars, I think the factory even has learned from feedback from its dealers, etc., and they've gotten better at those intervals and what is a real-world interval versus what we were doing, even 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So it has gotten much better. Case in point, check with your local Colorado Select Auto Care Center if you have any questions on what maintenance is due when. They will know from experience what needs done on your vehicle. So it's very, very important for you to make sure you're doing that maintenance properly. This Ford 5.4 engine deal is a great example of that, Dean. There has been, I don't know how many millions of dollars has been spent on an engine to fix spark plug holes, because those aren't cheap to fix, and Dean, if you let them go too far, you're pulling ahead and then it gets really expensive.
Then you're into dollars.
That's right. So, case in point, check with your local Colorado Select Auto Care Center to make sure that you know exactly what needs done when and where. All right, before we get into the fall drives, we'll do that right before we go to our next break. Napa Auto Parts is also looking for some employees. Please listen to the commercials that we just put in today's show. If you need to know more about that, go to NapaAutoJobs.com, all one word, NapaAutoJobs.com. So there's two A's in that, Napa and then autojobs.com. Put it all in as one word, and please make sure you mention on that application that you heard us talking about it on Drive Radio. They're looking for some counter people. They're also looking for delivery drivers. So if you're in need of a job, and by the way, I'll put a plug in for Napa. There's a lot of people today that are in managerial positions inside of Napa that started out as a delivery driver. So don't think for a second, just because you're going in as a delivery driver, there's not room for expansion. If you go in there, do your job well, work hard, show up like you're supposed to, do what you're supposed to, learn the system, learn the parts, etc., you're liable to move up into a counter position. From a counter position, you can go into a store manager position. Then it just moves on up from there. And Dean, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people today working for Napa that started out as a delivery driver.
Some of the drivers, yeah.
That's exactly right. So don't think for a second that that's not a good move. It is. NapaAutoJobs.com. We'll have some more commercials running throughout the show. If you're looking for a change, or you need an advancement, please let them. By the way, some of the delivery positions, you could work another job and be a delivery driver at the same time. So this could be an add-on job for you depending upon what you're looking for. So by all means, go check that out, NapaAutoJobs.com. All right, we've got a call. We'll put off our fall drives for a moment. Let's get to Eric, who is next. Eric, welcome. What's going on today?
Yeah, I changed out a 273 to a 355 in my 12 Mustang, and did everything perfect, and gear pattern was great, but on deceleration there's a whine. Is that normal?
That means it wasn't set up properly. If there's a whine on decel, the gear mesh is not correct.
Wow, because it's smack dab in the middle.
Well, and here's a tip for all of you guys that do gear changes by yourself. And by the way, there's an art to this. This is no fault of yours, Eric. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's not taught much anymore, and even a lot of people that think they know how to do it probably aren't even doing it correctly. And what I mean by that is there's even, you've got to get pinion preload right, you've got to get side gear preload or side bearing preload correct. If you don't do all of that, what happens is if you don't get your preloads right in the first place, the gear pattern changes as the bearings wear in. So that's the number one thing that can happen if that's not done correctly. The other tip is you want to go on the, what I call the low side of the tooth when you do your initial setup, because as things wear in, it will move to the middle.
Okay.
So what I always did when I set them up is, yeah, the pattern might be in the middle, but I want it to the lower side of the middle, not the higher side of the middle, because if you're in the high side, it's only going to get worse as the gear wears in, thereby making noise, etc.
All right.
And on your case, you want to be low side in particular, because if you're building a gear set for a muscle car or something where you're going to have a lot more power on it than you typically would in a regular passenger car, you really want it on the low side, because that's where the strength of the gear is.
Good point.
Does that make sense?
Yep, I get it.
And then explain to me how you did your preload and stuff on the bearings.
Well, it's a 16 to 29 inch range on the preload for the pinion, and I got it right at 24 inch-pounds.
Okay.
And then I went ahead. I could not reuse the shims from the factory because there were 2 pieces of cast.
Okay.
And I had, so I had to sort of just figure it out. And I got my backlash at 10, which was in between 8 and 12. And then I painted the gears and ran it around, and it was right down the middle.
When you put the carrier in, did you have to smack it in with a soft hammer, or did you just slide the carrier in?
No, it was tight. I tapped it in with my rubber mallet.
Okay, yeah, you should, again, rule of thumb, you should be able to only put that carrier in about halfway down on the center line of the differential carrier itself. If it's going any further than that, you're not going to have enough preload on your new bearings. And so, yeah, you should be, in other words, you should be smacking that thing in halfway in.
Okay.
If you're not smacking it in at least half of the way in, it's not going to be tight enough.
Well, that could be
so you can't smack it in, a quarter of an inch, from being set. That's not smacking it in. You really, I've done gear sets, and the bigger the gear set, of course, the more important this is. But I used to have a big, huge, not even a rubber mallet, but one of the, one of the actual dead blows they call them.
Yeah.
Being. You have to have a big dead blow to actually smack that. You're supposed to use a case spreader, but I had one at one point in time, and by the time you monkeyed around with all of that, it was easier just to smack them in and out and use a big bar to take the carrier back out, and that was actually a faster way of doing it. The other thing that you have to do, if you're not checking the pattern, this is very important for everybody listening, the only way to check pattern is it takes 2 people or a lot of arms, because you need to put load on the ring gear as you're checking the pattern, and you want to check the pattern in 4 places.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, as you're turning the pinion, around, and you want to go both ways on the gear set, as you're turning that around, you want somebody else with a pry bar on the ring gear itself, putting pressure on it, just like you would be simulating torque on it, and that's how you check proper pattern on the ring gear itself.
So I can have to devote my next weekend.
Yeah, if you have not put good preload on that when you're checking the pattern, you're going to be, what's going to happen is you're going to come back and it's going to be a lot higher than you think it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're very welcome, Eric. Thanks for calling in. And Dean, that stuff is tough to teach over air. It's hard to teach in person, but nonetheless, over the air, because there's an art to it.
Correct.
I
have to do it every day.
Yeah, I don't know how to even, I had some very good old timers that taught me how to do it back when I was younger, and of course you learn different things as time went by. When I was doing it, I got to the point where I had we used to call them dummy bearings. I had an extra set of bearings, literally for every type of differential I worked on, and that kept you from having to ruin bearings when you would press them on and off to redo shims. And so I had machined out sets of bearings where it made it easy to slip on and off. You get your original pattern set, then you'd put everything together for the last assembly, and off you go. But those are just some of the tricks of the trade. And again, all of that is expensive. You can't have an extra set of bearings kicking around if you're only going to do it one time. That's too expensive. But if you're doing multiples of those, having those around makes the job go that much faster. So
yeah, it would.
Tricks of the trade. Call us. We'd love to talk to you. Anything else you want to chat about? Questions, answers, comments? Looks like the sun might be coming out a little bit out there. In fact, if you took pictures right now, you'd have a nice fluffy clouds with some blue sky behind it. Can't see the mountains quite yet, but I'm sure we will momentarily. Call us. We want to talk to you. 303-477-5600, and I'll have a fall drive up in the northern part of Colorado. Where to go when we come back next here on Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994.
Yeah, I can turn you guys down. I can Because I usually have you right at the level that you're supposed to be at. I can turn you guys a little bit lower. All right, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do that for the next segment, see what goes on with it.
Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Caller Select Auto Care.
K&N's premium oil filters are very different. They make oil changes easier. K&N's wrench-off oil filters have a 1-inch nut welded on the top, so you can easily change the filter with a wrench or ratchet. And used with a Ziploc freezer bag, you can even remove a K&N oil filter with no oil spillage at all. Another great product from K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969. Are you driving with the check engine light on? Has that light been going on and off? Arvada West Auto and Truck is here to help you understand what could be wrong. Our technicians are specially trained to handle warning lights. If your vehicle is a 1996 or newer, it stores a history that helps us diagnose the problem, even if the warning light is not currently on. Don't wait until your vehicle breaks down and leaves you stranded. Call 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com, where every question is important.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals.
What, like now?
Raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's.
I'm not on air.
Schedule your next oil change at
Any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers.
and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Oh, okay, so just watch my mouth. Okay. But yeah, we can take care of that. And like I said, we were talking about the 6th of October. Hold on just one second, I'll tell you in a minute.
Part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Drive Radio, John Rush, your host, along with Dean Carlson from Four Seasons. And appreciate Dean taking time out of his day. One line open is all 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. Mike in Westminster is next. Mike, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, John, how's it going?
Good.
I've got a 10 Escape, 113,000 miles on it, and first thing in the morning or at night when I go to work, I get about 10 minutes on the car, and it stops, not stops, but it almost goes into limp mode. I'm running on like half the cylinders, and I have to actually shut up the car to get it going to where it runs fine.
Okay.
So I stopped by not the dealer, but one of the local shops here, and I asked him, if I bring it in, can you read it and tell me what we're looking at? He says that the system won't keep the fault in memory unless the wrench is still on.
Not
Is that
true.
correct?
That is not true.
Okay.
I'm sorry that he's telling you that because that's incorrect. The late model vehicles, and they're getting better and better every year. Dean can attest to this, but on a 2010, yeah, it's got stored information in it. If you've got some things, if you've got things going on, it feels like it's going in limp mode, etc. And Dean can attest to this also. There are very few cars on the market today, unless everything is running extremely perfect, that you will not scan and find some sort of a code even though the light's not on, right, Dean?
Correct.
They're stored in there waiting to turn a light on, and or they're waiting to go back out. If there's enough other cycles that go through where there's not a problem, it'll turn that particular situation off. But it's rare to plug a scan tool into a late model vehicle and not find some sort of information in there on what's going on.
Now, your Matco scan tool would be better than whatever I get at the local box store, auto parts. I mean, as far as them reading my scans.
That is correct, providing it's a true interface scanner, not just a code reader. Some code readers will not pull out the information that Dean and I were just talking about.
Okay, I would venture to say it was a scanner or code reader because they took it from one car and brought it over to mine. And so, any ideas? Because after it died on me this morning, coming home, I started back up and drove another 40 miles with no problem.
Well, and again, that's one of those we were talking earlier in the show. Without actually having some equipment on it, being able to read what's going on, read some of the different parameters that are there now, what's making it set, what codes do you have that maybe haven't turned the light on, but they're in there ready to turn the light on. Honestly, Mike, that's a tough one. I have no clue. Dean, if you've got an idea, great, but I don't have anything.
Not offhand, without really seeing some more information about it.
Correct.
It's funny, I lose throttle, but it stays idling, or relatively idling, so I don't know what it is.
Well, and part of that could be the limp mode that it's trying to go into, because if it goes into limp mode, that's exactly what it does, and there's lots of things on today's late model vehicles that can cause limp mode. That's the other issue that folks don't even realize. I mean, what I mean by that is there can be transmission issues, there can even be braking issues, things along those lines that can cause limp mode. It may not even be a drivability issue that's making it do that.
So you're saying if there's a transmission fault,
yep,
it might put it into limp mode and...
Yep. It could be transmission, it could be theft deterrent, it can be you name it. I don't know that I've got time today to even tell you every single item on a vehicle that can make it go into limp mode. Basically anything where the vehicle says, wait a minute, this thing should not be running at full throttle, full speed because things aren't right, I'm going to put it in limp mode.
Okay. See, I always thought limp mode was only per the engine.
Nope. And I can attest that even in my fleet. Say, for example, on one of my plow trucks, we have an issue where, somebody's out driving and we overheat a transmission, for example. Just getting a transmission above temperature can throw one into limp mode.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I'll have to stop by another shop then.
Yeah, you need somebody that can really scan that, pull the info out, and I apologize that they're telling you that they can't do that because they can.
What's the guy at 80th and Wadsworth, or 80th and Sheridan?
80th and Sheridan is going to be... Larry's the closest. Larry's at Bradburn, 72nd Bradburn, and on what you're trying to do, he's the guy to go see.
72nd Bradburn.
Yep, 72nd. Larry's Automotive, 72nd Bradburn.
Okie doke.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it very much. And let's go to Bob, who's next. Line open, by the way, 303-477-5600. Bob, you've got a question on your motorhome. What's going on with it?
It's actually just a general question. This is a 2002 Ford E350. I bought it used. It's got a V10 in it. I'm not a real fan of V10s, and I'm not familiar with them.
That's okay.
It's got 28,000. I'm just wondering, I was listening to your spark plug discussion on 5.4s.
Yep.
Is there things I need to be watching on this V10?
At your age, I would put plugs in it.
Definitely.
Just because you're not mileage-wise, but because of your age, I would put plugs in it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first things I would do.
All right.
Given the fact that it's now almost 13 years old, the 15s are just starting to roll out here in the next few weeks, I would also be looking at all fluids, brake fluid, differential fluids, coolant.
Yeah, I actually just did all that stuff.
Perfect.
But I didn't do plugs. I had when I bought it used, and I took it in and had it fully serviced at a place I work with a lot, and put about $1,600 for them. Just regular maintenance into it, but plugs was not on the list.
Yeah, I would do spark plugs. If you've done the rest of the maintenance on it, I would say you'd be safe in just doing the spark plugs at this point. And you're going to be one also where you're going to want to, make sure that you're doing filters and those sorts of things. Not necessarily on an annual basis, but you think from the mileage you put on, probably a semi-annual basis.
Okay.
And then, of course, in your case, we talk about this a lot on the show, is tires. If you've got the ability to cover those tires up wherever it's parked, you'll get a lot more longevity out of them if you do.
Yeah, and I just had to put new tires on at the front end aligned, all that kind of stuff because it was eating the front end. But
the other thing to look for on that I'm just thinking of, too, with the age is check your hoses.
Okay.
You're not, again, mileage-wise, and what I mean by that is I'm not saying you have to replace them, but please look at them and make sure that they're good. If they're starting to feel hard and brittle or really spongy, you probably should do hoses also, and that's inexpensive compared to the other repairs you'd get if one blows.
Sure. Okay. Good enough.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate the phone call. And those V10s aren't that bad of a motor. They're a gas hog, but they're actually pretty reliable, and believe it or not, they didn't tend to have as much of a problem blowing out the spark plugs as the V8s did. I don't know why that is. I cannot tell you exactly why. They will still do it, but it's not as common as it is on the V8s. And Dean, it may be because of, just overall cylinder pressures, the cubic inch of the piston size itself, and the V10 is much smaller than the 5.4. I don't know. I don't know why that's the case.
Yeah, never figured it out.
And don't quote me on that. I'd have to go look at exact specs to know how much smaller the V10 is than the 5.4. I can't remember. Last time I had one of those off, I don't remember if it's really all that much smaller. It may not even be that much smaller than the 5.4. I'll look the specs up and see that. At any rate, there's something different because they don't blow the plugs out as often as the V8s do. I don't know. Again, could be heat dissipation, could be... I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe the heads were made a little different. Maybe they were cast a little stronger. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is, but the V10s don't blow them out as often, but they still can. So back to Bob's point, yes, it's important for you to go ahead and get those changed out. All right. Lines open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. 303-477-5600. And we will be back at it right after this. Don't go away. John Rush, Dean Carlson from Four Seasons, KLZ 560.
At Extreme Auto, we're committed to providing the highest level of service possible to our customers. Our highly trained technicians are ASE certified and are dedicated to providing you with world-class service. We have years of experience working on both domestic and import vehicles of all makes and models, and will work with you to find cost-effective repair and maintenance alternatives. We don't have hidden fees, and we don't do unnecessary repairs. Serving Parker and the surrounding areas, come and see us, the professionals at Extreme Auto, and rest easy knowing you'll get quality work done for a fair price. Our promise to you, extreme service, extreme value, extreme satisfaction. Call us to schedule your appointment today.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
Summer, a time of fun, sun, high temperatures, and the ultimate family road trip. Before embarking on the ultimate family adventure, bring your vehicle over to John's 4x4 Center on Arapahoe and Boulder for a little TLC. Our summer maintenance inspection includes pressure testing your air conditioning system, checking your coolant levels and tire pressure, testing your battery, inspecting your hoses and belts for cracks, cuts, and bulges, testing your transmission, power steering, and brake fluids. Having your vehicle inspected before a long road trip can keep you on the road. Not stuck beside it during your vacation. John's 4x4 is under new ownership as of January 2014. Stop by and see what's new. Located on Arapahoe Road, just east of 63rd, behind Carpet 1, we're open to serve you Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. with shuttle service and after-hours drops. Give us a call at 303-449-2640. Follow us on Facebook or check us out at johns4x4.com.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an 82 Fiat on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
24 seconds. I timed it. It took me just 24 seconds to find a AAA certified master mechanic who offers the best peace of mind warranty in the state. A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. At ColoradoSelect.org, I search my city and boom, I'm done. Colorado Select Auto Care puts their member shops through a rigorous set of requirements, so I know no matter which shop I choose, I'll get the best auto repair service possible. That's 24 seconds well spent. ColoradoSelect.org.
All right, Drive Radio, John Rush, your host, KLZ 560. Appreciate everybody that listens in each and every week. We do appreciate that. So, all right, I told you guys I'd get to this before the end of the first hour, and I will. So, one place in northern Colorado is Boreas Pass and Breckenridge. Marias Pass is a nice drive indeed. It can get a bit crowded, but that's for a reason, because there's very few sections of the pass where the trees don't bend outwards towards the road. It makes canopies of gold over your head as you walk down the road. I recommend you walk sections of the road and take it all in. There's a very beautiful picture that I'm actually looking at that says, yeah, that's a pretty nice place. So if there's other favorite fall drives you've got, please let us know, 303-477-5600. In the meantime, let's go to Steve in Lakewood. He's up next. Steve, what's going on?
Yeah, I've got a 1996 Ford Ranger. Replaced the thermostat not too long ago, and now with the cold weather, I tried to turn the heater on, and I can't get any heat.
Okay. Dean?
You can do a cold with the AC on?
I don't have AC.
Okay. Plugged heater core would be an issue.
Right.
Did it just start doing this?
Well, yeah, just the first time I've tried it since last winter.
Okay. And with no AC, you're not running, I mean, your window's down the rest of the year, so you wouldn't know anything else come up. So next thing to do, which is easier for you to check, Steve, on your own, and this actually even helps, people like Dean, who's in your area, who, if you take it to Four Seasons Lab, will be working on it anyways. One thing you can check is when the engine's at operating temperature, just go out under the hood, heater on, blowing, and see if the two hoses going into the heater core feel the same temperature.
No, one's warmer than the other.
Then Dean is on the right track.
So it's blockage in the heater core.
Yes.
Possibly.
And that's inside the firewall or outside?
Inside.
You typically, I don't know, and I'll say this, and somebody will send me an email and correct me, but I don't know of any late model vehicles where the heater core is built on the outside. Dean, if you know of one different than that, tell me. But for years and years and years now, we have put those on the inside to make more space under the hood. It puts a heater core inside. It makes it more efficient for the heater itself inside the vehicle, etc., and that's why we've gone that direction.
Right. All right, I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Steve. Thanks for calling in. And by the way, Four Seasons, who's over in Lakewood, in fact, Dean is from there. He's with us on air today. Dean, I don't know your exact address. Where are you guys located?
1801 South Wadsworth.
Okay, 1801 South Wadsworth. And Larry just came in and handed us a note that the Gates flush tool, which I know you guys have, that also might clean that heater core out. So, Steve, before you actually go in, buy a heater core and change it, you may be worthwhile going over, seeing the guys at Four Seasons, having them do the Gates power flush, and see if that doesn't get rid of some of that debris that's in the heater core. If it does, then you don't have to put a heater core in it.
Correct, a little cheaper.
A side note on that. You want to get that done fairly quickly, because as that blockage is there and that sediment gets into that heater core, that's where you get more corrosion, other things that can actually damage the heater core, thereby making it have to be replaced on down the road. So if you know there's some blockage, you really do need to get that flushed out, because you could, preventative maintenance-wise, avoid putting a heater core in it if you can get the blockage out. So, got calls coming in, 303-477-5600. We'll get you right on air as soon as we can. And I've had a couple emails come in. I'll get to those as we get into the next hour. So, number 2, on our places to drive to see the colors. Mueller State Park. This one doesn't have the best aspens in Colorado, so you might ask, why is this on our list? Mueller is a great place to take kids or family. It's a hidden gem just outside of Divide. You will get to see many species of birds and wildlife if you sit quietly. Once you hit Mueller, you'll drive home on an easy go through Victor and Cripple Creek for your for your golden leaf payout. So Mueller State Park, there's not much there, but it's a fun thing to do, and you get to see the leaves and the changes on your way to and from. So that's our number 2. We'll keep going. We've got more of these. I'm not sure if I'll get through all of these today, but we'll do our best to do that. We've got a little bit of time left, although these leaves are going to start changing here relatively quickly. So if you've got a favorite fall drive, may not even have anything to do with the change of the colors. Maybe it's just something that you enjoy doing. The scenery's great. Maybe it's not super crowded. Tell us what your favorite fall drives are. We'll get you on air, 303-477-5600. Patrick is next in Denver. Patrick, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Great show. Hey, got an 04 Crown Vic. I cleaned battery terminals on it, I don't know, probably 60, 90 days ago, and I had to check my oil. And I looked, and I've got that, I don't know what you call it, John, that stuff growing around the battery terminal thing.
Yep. It's basically the acid just grows. There's all sorts of industry names for it, but it's just corrosion that's on the battery, and that comes from acid. There's a couple of ways to deal with that. Do you have a battery that is serviceable, or is it a maintenance-free battery?
I believe it's serviceable.
Okay. If it's serviceable, we now have a product. We're selling it through our Colorado Select facilities, and it's called Thermoil, and it's basically an oil that we put in the battery that reduces all of the venting that the battery does. Let me rephrase that. It still vents, but it reduces the acid content in the venting of the battery, thereby keeping the corrosion to a minimum.
Right. Now, what if I don't have a serviceable battery? And I had Firestone tell me a while back that my bag could use a battery, but I put my load tester on it and it tested fine.
Okay. How old is the battery?
You know, that's a good question, John. I bought the car over a year ago and haven't replaced the battery.
There should be, Patrick, a date stamp on it, not the ones where there's a little... batteries have date stamps like tires, where they typically give you the month and the year the battery was produced, and it doesn't have anything to do with when somebody poked a little, the decal that's on the battery. I'm talking about an actual engraved stamping on the battery. You should see a month and a year someplace on it that'll tell you how old the battery is.
Okay.
If it's over, 4 years old, I'd put a battery in it. If it's 2 to 3 years old, you could service it, do what we're talking about with the Thermoil. If it's a non-serviceable battery, there is some devices that you can put on the terminals themselves to reduce the corrosion, although I've never seen one of them eliminate corrosion totally.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny. It's almost like a chia pet.
That's exactly what it looks like. Yep. And the Fords, I do not know why this is, but Fords are worse than some other vehicles, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I can't complain about the car. It's been a great car.
Yep, they are. I don't know whether it's because of Ford's, battery terminal, Dean, they use a different type of a terminal on it because it's the material that's in it makes it grow. They don't use a lead end, they use a steel end when they actually put that onto the lead post of the battery. Maybe that has an effect. I don't know, not an expert on that end of things, but something with a Ford creates more chia pet.
Okay. So we coined a new phrase today.
We call it the same thing, so you just called us what we call it, so you're right on.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy the show. Actually, John, enjoy the show during the week. I drive a truck, listen to you every day. So.
Patrick, I appreciate that very much. Thank you, and I thank you for listening very much, especially during the week. And I've got some special shows coming up this week that you're not going to want to miss. I'll put a little side note here. We're going to do a tribute show on 9/11. In fact, I just got confirmation. We've got a fellow by the name of Joe Chirillo. He was actually buried twice in 9/11. He's a retired New York firefighter, a lieutenant there. He goes around and does some public speaking. Joe's a great guy, has a great story, and has some great stories on why the towers did not topple over, why they imploded, per se. And it's we'll talk about this Thursday, but it's his theory that the terrorists hit those buildings in such a way that they wanted them to topple over north and south, opposing from each other, thereby destroying almost a quarter of a mile of other buildings and people in each direction. So it's a miracle that those things actually imploded. It was the design of the building. He'll talk about some of that. It'll be a great show on Thursday. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll do a special 9/11 tribute, and hopefully everything this week, knowing how everything else in the world is going, will be a safe week and we won't have any issues. So I saw last night a report that came out that said, well, the 11 missing airplanes, the airliners that were missing from the Libyan airport, there may not really be 11. Some of those are actually now starting to be accounted for, and some of them might have been destroyed. So again, those are the things that we'll talk about this coming week on Rush to Reason. But hey, this is Drive Radio. We want to hear about you, your cars, everything that's going on with them. 303-477-5600. Call us. We'll get you right on air. The news is next. Don't go away. Blaze News is always good. And again, I'm John Rush, Dean Carlson from Four Seasons, Larry Unger, and Matt, our engineer, on the other side of the glass. Great first hour. We'll be back for hour 2 of Drive Radio right after this. Don't go away. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560.
time. Cause when you stand so near, I'm down in my mind. It's not burning as well.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. Join me every Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. for Sportsman of Colorado. Hunting, fishing, camping, guns, and ammo. We'll get you ready for the upcoming archery and muzzle loading seasons. Oh, and we'll also let you know where the fish are biting. Check out our website, sportsmanofcolorado.com. If you love the outdoors, you'll love Sportsman of Colorado. Sportsman of Colorado, Saturdays 1 to 2 p.m. right here on KLZ 560.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com.
KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Brad James. With the focus on the ISIS terrorist group, many see Al-Qaeda as more of a threat to the U.S. The Blaze Radio's Ken Stevens has more.
Much of the terrorist spotlight has been shining on ISIS, but a number of terror experts say if you're worried about an attack on the U.S., worry more about Al-Qaeda. They say while ISIS has what it takes to pose a regional threat to Syria and Iraq, Al-Qaeda has jihadists experienced in making bombs, disguises, and counterfeiting documents. In fact, Ryan Morrow, a national security advisor with the Clarion Project, telling FoxNews.com the greatest threat is from a sympathizer of Islamist terrorists already here.
Military experts are saying the two terrorist groups, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, are in a frightening rivalry to recruit fighters and funding, and the big prize is a successful attack on the U.S. Many military experts saying ISIS has the momentum because of its stronghold operations in Iraq and Syria. This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making the switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to the Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Severin. Or, if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to the Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is the Blaze. Truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
Freedom 560 with Ken Clark, weekdays at noon on KLZ 560.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. She'll do a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower. 500 foot-pounds. Just what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
All right, John Rush, your host.
AM 560 KLZ, as you just heard. Dean Carlson from Four Seasons is also with me today, so I appreciate everybody listening. And by the way, if you're listening on Sunday, thank you. We appreciate that. The only thing is you can't call in. We have a lot of people that we know from some of the folks that come in and out of the studio on Sundays, that we get a lot of you that call in, and while we really do appreciate that, there's nobody here to answer your call. So if you're calling on a Sunday or listening on a Sunday, we can't take your calls. If you missed our first hour because you're listening on Sunday, please listen to our podcast, or you can go right back and watch our YouTube video that we put up right away. Last week's I didn't get a chance to do that with because we had some audio issues. Today we're doing much better on that, so you can actually listen to our show, watch us on YouTube. We appreciate everybody that does. But you can always go back and listen to our podcast. They're on SoundCloud.com, type in Drive Radio, or you can find them on our website, drive-radio.com, or find them on our Facebook page. I put them up as soon as we get them done, typically later in the day on Saturday or Sunday afternoons I get them up, and it's real easy for you to go in and listen to our shows that way if you've missed one. So we've got lines open. We would love to hear from you. It is Saturday today, 303-477-5600. Give us a call as soon as somebody drops off. We'll get you right on air. We've been talking through the first hour about favorite fall drives. Also going to talk about some maintenance on trucks and trailers. Might do that towards the end of the second hour, as I'm going to do that even going into the Sportsmen of Colorado show. I'm going to stay around for the first segment and talk a little bit about that so we may get geared up the last hour of this show. So in doing that, please call us early, because things always stack up as the show moves on. So if you've got a question, call us now. We'll get you right online, 303-477-5600. But hey, let's get right into it. We have Cliff, who's up next. Cliff, welcome to Drive Radio. What's going on today?
Well, I got a Dodge 6-cylinder, and it's a diesel.
Okay.
And I put in this synthetic oil, going with about 25,000 miles, and the engine should blow up.
Okay. How many miles did you drive?
No, I mean the blower.
Oh, the turbo, or the
turbo blew up.
And how many miles did you drive?
About 25,000.
25,000, and on the same oil change, or did you change?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Change the oil. Well, we see 30,000 in it.
Got it. And how many miles does the whole 5.9 engine have on it?
Oh, about 50,000 was at the end when I first started riding it.
So what year truck is it?
A 97.
So it's a 97. In the truck itself, how many miles does the truck have on it?
Oh, now it's got 200,000.
Okay, so you got 200,000 on a 5.9, and you just had a turbo that went out?
Yeah, so I replaced the turbo.
Okay.
And I still put in the synthetic oil. 2,000 miles about I go, it blows up again, the turbo. It doesn't, the engine is fine.
There's something not feeding oil to the turbo properly then, or something, because whether you're running regular or synthetic, that's not going to have any effect on the turbo going bad. You've got an oil to the turbo are they saying the turbo is going bad because of oil starvation, or are they telling you what's wrong with it when you change it?
They wouldn't say, because it was done under a warranty.
Got it. And why are they doing it under warranty? Do you have an extended warranty or something? Is that why they're doing it under warranty? Got it. They need to, whoever's doing the work on that needs to figure out why it's got to be starving for oil, or you would not be going through a turbo in 2,000 miles.
Oh, yeah, well, the other thing is,
here's the reality, Cliff. Even old dirty oil would run 2,000 miles on that turbo, so there's something not oiling it properly.
That's what I figured. Anyway, I thought it was the air cleaner. It goes directly into the turbo.
Yes, it does.
And I think it was second Georgia, because
what you're saying there could also be the case. If they suck dirt through the turbo, yes, it can wipe out the turbo, and it can also affect the reliability of the engine itself if you're sucking that much dirt through.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it was sucking, because when it first discovered that it wasn't fit, it was the second time it went.
Okay, then it may not have an oil issue. You may be what they call dusting the turbo, is what we call that, when it runs dirt through the turbo. If it's dusting the turbo and that's what's making it go bad, then yeah, you could have another problem. But again, whoever's doing the turbo, whoever's doing the work on the vehicle should be looking at all of that, making sure that everything is correct before the vehicle goes back out the door, especially now that they put 2 on it.
Yeah.
Something's not right there. Those vehicles will run now. 200,000, even on a diesel, anything's possible when it comes to a turbo, depending on how it's been maintained, etc. Up to that point. But
I talked to a lot of the guys that said they had a turbo like that. They went to 1 million miles.
Yeah, But my point is, if it's been maintained and everything's been working properly, putting a turbo on it at 200,000 is not something that's commonly done. So something else is going on with it to make it go out.
Yeah, I figured that either that was the case, or the guys weren't putting on the bad turbo rebuild.
Well, now that's a whole other issue, and that could be also the case if you don't know where they're buying the turbo from, where they're getting it. Are they putting a brand new one on it? Did they find a used one someplace? I mean, what did they actually do when they actually did the job? And that you also need to dig into and find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Because to your point, that should not be happening, especially within 2,000 miles of the last change. Luckily, you're not paying the bill, but this gets frustrating when you have to keep doing it.
Oh yeah, because it screwed me up on a trip.
Exactly. No, you want to get that fixed and handled right. And the other thing you could look at, by the way, Cliff, is look at your warranty and find out who can work on the vehicle. If anybody can work on it, any one of our Colorado Select facilities can also work on it for you. Look at the fine print and see what it says. In other words, it doesn't have to go back to the dealer that sold it to you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So double check that also. If you need help with that, send me an email during the week and I'll be happy to help you.
Well, the oil was good because I run it in another car that had a blower on it that wasn't diesel. Hell, it's still going. It's got 300,000 miles on it.
Yeah, I don't think you have an oil issue. You've got something else going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Cliff. Appreciate you calling. And by the way, if you want to send us an email, I should have mentioned this during the first hour. I didn't, but you can. And by the way, if it's Sunday and you do have a question, I answer a lot of emails on the weekend. So if you have a question, it's the weekend, it's Sunday, and you can't call in, you know what? Send me an email. I'll get it answered for you. It's John, JOHN, at drive-radio.com. So John at drive-radio.com, or you can go to our website, drive-radio, fill out the contact us, and I'll get it taken care of that way. But yeah, that's a great, easy way. If you don't want to ask a question on air and you just want to talk to us, send us an email, etc., we can do it that way. Randy, you're next. What's going on today?
Yes, sir. I got a 97 Previa, and I'm getting ready for the next 100,000 miles. I got 242,000 on it now. Just stripped shocks, struts, drive axles, and new tires. Okay, so I went in to get a fresh front end alignment, and before the thing would track very solid and straight down the road, and now it kind of feels just a little touch squirrely going down the lane on the highway. Like you're always trying to correct the wheel. I'm not sure what's going on there.
It's really tracking the road or in the wheel, steering wheel itself?
Well, I'm not sure if it's tracking the road or if it's in the wheel itself. It just doesn't feel as solid as it did before they did the alignment. So.
Did you have the tires rotated at that time too, or?
No, brand new tires. I put brand new Michelin's on it. The other ones were at the end of their life.
Okay, so you've done. Make sure I'm tracking this correctly. I think Dean is, but maybe I'm not. 97 Previa. You did a bunch of work to it, put new tires on it, alignment, all of that, but now it doesn't seem to drive right.
Right, it seems to kind of wander a little bit down the road. Yeah, new shocks, new struts, new drive axles.
I would double check to make sure the alignment was done properly.
Okay.
That'd be the first thing that I would do. Just, again, eliminate, we have a tendency as humans to think that just because something got done, it was correct and it's 100% and there's no issues with it, so it definitely can't be that problem because I just did it. Well,
yeah.
Everything I just said is also true. Yes, we did it. Humans did it. Humans have errors. We make mistakes. Maybe there's something kind of out of whack, not just right. If that's the case, then, say, for example, somebody put in the wrong alignment specs and they aligned it to the wrong specs. They may have done an alignment, done it properly, but they didn't have the right specs in the machine when they did it. All sorts of errors can take place. If that's the case, that's why it's not driving right.
Well, that's basically what I was wanting to find out. If, in fact, something that's not quite right on the alignment could cause that effect going down the road.
Yes, it can. Most definitely.
On a four-wheel alignment, definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, no, alignments, and people don't, we should talk more about this on the show. Alignments don't get near enough credit for keeping a vehicle driving down the road straight, reducing fuel economy, or increasing fuel economy, I should say. A poor alignment reduces fuel economy, things like that. Anytime you've got tire scrub, where the tires aren't going down the road like they should be, in line with the rest of the suspension and the rear suspension, etc., when that's not all lined up like it's supposed to, yes, they don't drive right.
Okay, I will take it back to the shop and have them
redo it. Tell them what's going on. Just say, listen, this thing just doesn't feel right, doesn't drive right. And lastly, if you get it back and they say, hey, no, everything's right, we don't see anything else with it, you need a second opinion in at that point.
Okay, and do most of your shops do alignments?
I think I'm looking at Larry. Doesn't Dorsey do alignments over at his place? No alignments at his place. So who's closest? I'm going to put you on hold. We'll figure out who's closest to you to get a second opinion of if we need to. I'm going to put you on hold for just a moment. Larry will figure that out, come back on and talk to you. Him and I can talk off air as to who's closest to you that we know in the group does alignments, and we will be right back at you here on Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. Where's our expansion room for you? Savings on all repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Rose and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at Gino'sAutoservice.com. That's Gino'sAutoservice.com.
Your car performs better when things are simple. And it's easy to see how the maze of plumbing under the hood can slow it down. A K&N AirTake system replaces the maze with a single custom engineered tube. The result? A guaranteed increase in horsepower. A dramatic increase you can actually feel. Visit K&N website to look up the extra horsepower available for your vehicle. K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969.
All right, Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, along with Dean Carlson, Four Seasons. He's over in the Lakewood area. And if you've got something in that area, Dean's actually filling in for Ray Seidel, who you've heard on the show many times. In fact, Ray helps me co-host and take care of things when I'm not around, which I appreciate very much. Ray had a death in the family, so our condolences go out to him and his family. But he had to leave on just short notice, and Dean decided to come in and take over. So thank you, Dean.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate that. It was kind of last minute, but worked out great. So appreciate Dean doing that. And they're in the Lakewood area, south, well, not totally south Lakewood, but what's your address?
1801 South Wadsworth. Okay. It's basically 2 blocks north of Jewel.
And they work on literally just about anything except for a lot of the exotics, or any of the exotics, I should say. But other than that, you guys do everything else there is.
Pretty close, yes.
And they do, we just were talking about alignments and all those sorts of things. You know, Dean and Ray and all the guys there do all of that. So they'll do anything from a simple oil change to an engine job. So they do everything and anything. So if you need something, by all means, go check those guys out. And they would appreciate it very much. And give us a call, 303-477-5600. We'll get you right in there. By the way, line's open. I should have said that before the last segment. Call us. We'll get you right in, 303-477-5600. Okay, fall drives. We'll go to the next one. Number 3, Guanella Pass, located just outside of Conifer. This pass is paved for the most part and reaches 11,700 feet in elevation. This 25-mile road has sections of 2 of Colorado's national forests. So that looks like a pretty decent drive. There's pictures of it here. Number 4 is, of course, Aspen and Minturn. Of course, the name Aspen comes from what surrounds them, which is a lot of aspen trees in Minturn. More of an area than a specific drive. Minturn has easy access to many highways and loops. The gorgeous little town has vistas and a river running past groves of gold and red. Nice canyons abound to the south of Minturn. The neighboring town of Aspen has many roads around it that are breathtaking. A simple Google search, I get my words out, of drives around Aspen and Minturn will find you many options that seldom disappoint. So that's our northern Colorado. We just finished that up. There's southern Colorado, which we'll get to in a minute. If you have a favorite fall drive, something that maybe you've done every year, even going up I-70, just heading west on I-70, there's a lot of pretty drives just up and around the Silverthorne area. You can take that back over towards Steamboat Springs. I mean, there's some beautiful areas up on Rabbit Ears Pass. Those are some of my favorites. Those aren't on this particular list, but Rabbit Ears Pass is pretty tough to beat when the colors are turning. Tell us what yours are. 303-477-5600. Dean, any favorites of yours at all, or do you even do that?
No, I'm not into it.
Don't get into it.
Don't like the traffic up there.
You can kind of look, when we have a clear day looking out towards the mountains out of our 12-story window here high atop the KLZ towers, you can see the mountains pretty good. Unfortunately, it's hard to see the aspens turning because typically you got to get up into the mountains a little bit to see that. Although I will tell you, we've got enough city trees now with all the different species that have been planted over the years. Denver does not look like Denver used to look back in the 1900s. Doesn't even look like it used to look in 1950. We have way more trees and foliage and things here than we ever had even when I was a kid, and we actually have some pretty spectacular colors in the fall even just around town, so you don't have to drive out of town to see colors. No, we don't live back east, we're not Maine or Connecticut or those areas, but we have some pretty decent fall colors. Let's go to David in Windsor, who's next. David, welcome. What's going on today?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I got a question. I just in January, I bought a 2011 GMC Sierra with the 6.2, and it has like 20,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And I tow an 18-foot travel trailer with it, camping, and every time I do, well, not every time, but my service airbag light comes on.
Every time you tow, the service airbag's coming on.
Yeah, that's the only time it ever comes on, and then you shut it off and it goes away. And when I unload the trailer, it never comes on. I can go for miles and miles, and it never comes on. It's only when I tow that trailer.
That's really strange.
Do you have factory wiring in the hitch?
Yeah.
The trailer?
Yeah. It's all set up with the tow package. It has the built-in brakes and everything.
Yeah, so it's got the controller on the dash and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But you get an SRS light when you plug the trailer. How fast does it come on when you plug the trailer in?
Well, sometimes it don't come on at all. We took a trip to southern Colorado for a week. We had 5 campers, and the 2 or 3 days it wouldn't come on, and then the next day I'd go 50 miles and it would come on. And then I would pull over and I'd shut it off and turn it back on, and it wouldn't come on. I took it into the GMC dealer up here because it still had some warranty on it. And they said they changed something on that, but yeah, it's still doing it. I took it up to South Park this last weekend, and it came on me dead. But it's only when I tow that trailer.
That is really, really strange. Do just a quick search here and see if anything comes up. There's got to be some sort of... First, back up. There has to be some sort of a wiring issue that's causing it. The one thing I wanted to look up real quick, and it's going to take me a minute to do this, is to see if there's any kind of a software update on the computer that might be causing that. I don't see anything that is. And I'm trying to think, even in my mind, and Dean helped me with this, but I'm trying to think of what else would happen when hooking up the trailer that would cause an airbag light to come on. And the only thing you're doing when you put the trailer on it, besides the extra weight on the back of it, is wiring. There's just nothing else there that's causing. You're not doing anything else to the truck besides plugging in a trailer.
Right, that's all I'm doing, and I even got an equalizer kit, so the weight is pretty well distributed and all that too. So I don't know.
The only other thing that, I'll be honest with everybody listening, you especially, David. I'm guessing because I do not know. But the only thing that I could think might contribute to this, and I would have to do some studying on this to determine this, is if the trailer is heavy enough and it changes the angle of the suspension, if you would. In other words, if the front end of the vehicle starts to rise too much, it gets too light, in other words, and starts to angle in a direction that it doesn't like, that may be enough to turn a sensor on and say, wait a minute, maybe I don't need to work. I'm guessing. I have no clue if that system even exists on that truck. I'm just thinking outside the box.
Okay, well, I just wondered if you had any idea. I'll probably take it back into the dealer.
I have not. I'm one that would initially say it's got to be something wiring related, because if you are only getting that when you plug the trailer in, that's a pretty good indication that there's something wiring-wise that's making that happen. And as you know, when the SRS light's on, the airbag system is disabled, doesn't mean you can't drive the truck. It just means if you had an accident, it's not going to inflate the airbags.
Yeah, and actually, like I said, sometimes it's on and sometimes it's off. It's not all the time when I'm towing that trailer, But
it never happens when the trailer is off.
No, I've never seen that light on when I'm unhooked and just driving, traveling in it.
Did you have it checked out with the light on, with the trailer hooked up? Or you brought it in?
No trailer on it? I'm usually up in the mountains somewhere, I could hook up my trailer and tow it around Windsor until a light comes on, I guess, and then take it up to the GMC dealer. But
yeah, you're in a tough spot because it's hard to actually get in to somebody while the light is on. And in fact, a lot of them, they don't even want the trailer on it when they go to look at it because it's just. Now, one thing that I was going to look at, and I'm doing this while we're talking, is have you looked at the owner's manual to see if it says anything in there about airbag and towing?
Yeah, I've read it pretty much from cover to cover, and I don't remember seeing anything. When I bought the truck, I pretty much read it because I'm that kind of guy,
Well, I would say, I'm along the lines of Dean. Somebody's going to have to look at it potentially when that's on. Now, the other question I would have on that truck is, do you know if it's got the stable track system on it? That's the other thing I was thinking of. In other words, does it have the system that helps keep the trailer from swaying?
I don't think so. It has the full tow package. It's a yeah. So
do you by chance happen to have the original build sheet, window sticker, etc.? Did you get that when you bought it by chance?
Yeah, I did.
Look at that and see if it came with the stable track system. If it did, then that may be contributing to what's going on also, and that would be another clue you could give the dealer as to potentially maybe what's happening.
Yeah, since I got it fixed once, I'm sure I could take it back and not have to pay for them to look
at it. I would. Yeah, no. In fact, that's a side note which we need to talk about also for just a moment before we go to a break. Keep all of those records. So you've got all of them in one place because, yes, this all goes back to the same problem you had while it was under warranty. So you want to make sure that, A, you're getting the problem fixed under warranty, B, proving that it all happened while it still was under warranty. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of lucked out because it was like when I took that trip and I first noticed it down to Southern Colorado, it happened like the first day, and I was gone like 9 days, and my warranty was up like the 10 days from there. So I was actually out of warranty when I first took it back, but they did it under warranty because it actually happened 10 days before that, the first time.
And you should, now that I'm thinking about it too, the stable track, I guarantee you that truck has that. I'm pretty sure that it does have it. And I didn't ask, it's a four-wheel drive, I assume?
Yeah, it's forward.
Okay, yeah, it's going to have the stable track on it, which is basically the wheel spin assist. And I'm just trying to think outside the box. Anything else that could be there that would actually make this thing come on only when the trailer's on. I'll keep looking. We're up against a break. I'll keep looking. If I think of something, I'll mention it on air. I'll keep looking through this break. But no, David, I'm with you. You're going to have to get the thing back in, have them look at it under warranty, try to find out what's going on. The other thing I would do is try to simulate as much as you can, or record as much as you can when it's going on, so that the dealer could then try to simulate it again. And what I mean by that is folks listening, this goes for you too. We live in a day and age now where most everybody's got some sort of a smartphone or a camera handy, where you can even record some video of things going on, problems that are cropping up, noises, etc. Use those to your advantage. Take video. Don't just take pictures. Show those to the dealer when you've got issues, noises, things like that. It's a great tool, and even myself, we tend to forget we're carrying this cool little device around with us all the time, and it's right there in our pocket. All we got to do is get it out and use it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, so we'll see what we can do to help, and I'll keep researching it for you, David.
Actually, other than that, I love the truck. It's an awesome truck.
Yeah, no, those are great trucks. So the 2014's even got one step better, but no, you're driving a great truck. So we'll see what we can do to help you out.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Line open, 303-477-5600. Call us. We'll get you right on air. We're up against a break. I'll keep looking to see if we can find anything for David. And by the way, if any of you have owned a vehicle like that, and a lot of times we get listeners that will call in and say, hey, guess what? That happened to me, and it was X. Well, hey, situation like this, man, we're both in the dark, Dean and I both, because I've not seen this before. So call us. We'll get you right on air. Anything you've got, any question, we're here for you, 303-477-5600. Again, John Rush, Dean Carlson from Four Seasons, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Do you know how many computers your vehicle has? At Arvada West Auto and Truck, you can tell how many there are. If your vehicle is a 1996 or newer, it may have multiple computers. Did you know that car computers get updated just like home or office computers? Arvada West is equipped to update most all vehicle computers. The process usually takes less than an hour and can help your vehicle perform efficiently. From a keyless entry to fuel strategies, this simple procedure can help prevent breakdowns and improve your performance. Call Arvada West Auto and Truck, 303-422-1065. Visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com or stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue, where every question is important.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment, or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every auto repair says so much more than, if it's not right, we'll try to fix it again. A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty tells me that this is a master mechanic who's confident, who knows what they're doing. I mean, nobody offers a warranty like that, right? Colorado Select Auto Care seniors do, and only the members of Colorado Select offer a warranty this good. Find a mechanic who's a member of Colorado Select Auto Care at coloradoselect.org.
And thanks for listening. We appreciate it very much. 303-477-5600. We were looking through the break, and even Dean and I talking about David's situation with his airbag light coming on in that truck, and man, I just can't. We still go back to, it's more than likely something electrical, an extra load, something going on. And the only other thing that it could be, David, if you're still listening, that sometimes changes when people take trips is, different things that they put inside the vehicle, different weights, things like that could be going on that may be triggering something. Those have got, front airbags, they've got seat mounted. I just don't know. There's nothing that David said correlated to anything that should be going on when you plug a trailer in, Dean. It just doesn't make any sense. So, anyways, we'll keep looking. If we think of something, David, we'll let you know. We'd love to hear from you, by the way. Line's open. Call us. We'll get you right on air, 303-477-5600. We've got more to talk about in regards to the places to drive, and then we'll get into maintenance on truck and trailer, back to David's point of towing a truck and a trailer. So Southern Colorado. Keebler and Ohio passes just outside of Crested Butte. Crested Butte in the fall will take your breath away if you time it right. The aspen grove at Keebler was once considered the largest organism in the world. One giant aspen spans for miles, and it tends to change colors all at once. I did not know that. It's a significant drive, but it's a pilgrimage I try to make every year. That's this guy writing this. If you drive up Keebler Pass, there's a turnoff to Lost Lake, about halfway up, which is a beautiful place to fish or have lunch. Ohio Pass is Keebler's next-door neighbor. If you make the trip for Keebler, take the extra hour or two to explore Ohio also. And looking at the pictures that I'm looking at here, yeah, that's pretty beautiful. That was a pretty key thing that he said. I didn't know this about the giant aspen grove that was considered the largest organism in the world at one time, and how all of the leaves change at one time. That's pretty cool. That would be cool to see. So there's a tidbit for you. The next one is Cottonwood Pass. I believe Cottonwood Pass is home to the second largest aspen grove in Colorado. The road is paved all the way to the summit of the pass and makes this a good drive for those who don't want to drive too far into the hills. Don't forget to stop at Cottonwood Lake. One of the favorite places for this photo tag is to rest and take in a natural beauty. There you go. So you want to rest, take in the beauty, enjoy. And by the way, these are going to be coming up in the weeks ahead. We're a little bit early yet. Leaves haven't quite started changing yet, but they will be here soon, especially if we continue into these lesser daylight hours, which, by the way, Larry Unger and I at the top of the news here at the last break we had, Larry came in and says, "Oh, John, I don't know. I think it's temperature, not daylight." And so I looked it up, Googled it, and sure enough, leaves change, I should say, based upon daylight hours. So the tree knows how many hours there are in the day. It has to do with photosynthesis, and once it gets a trigger that, hey, there's not as much light, I know winter's coming, I got to drop these leaves because the snow's going to come. If it doesn't, it'll break all my limbs. That's why they drop the leaves. So pretty cool how nature works and the beauty that surrounds us. All right, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you, 303-477-5600. Okay, Dean, before we end the show today, which we've got another hour and a half left, but I did want to get into talking about a couple of different topics, one of them being suspension, which we've talked about a little bit today, the other being getting a vehicle ready, making sure you're set to tow, trailer maintenance, those sorts of things. Let's talk, and I can get into more of this as we get into the latter part of the next hour on the truck and trailer maintenance, and I'm going to continue that on into the Sportsman's of Colorado show. But suspension, let's talk about that for a minute. Gone are the days, Dean, of 15 grease zerks on the front end that you had to worry about maintaining and taking care of when you change oil, right?
Oh, so true.
And they just don't exist anymore, do they? Nope. So, what are some maintenance things people can do, whether it be on their own, they bring it into the shop? What are things that you really need to do and how often on suspension? Whether it be shocks, whether it be alignments, what's kind of a general rule of thumb as to how often people should look at those things?
Probably about every 10,000, 20,000 miles. If you're doing a lot of towing, more frequently.
More often than that.
Right.
Yep. And I'm with Dean. I'm one that says you really should do an alignment. If you have time and you can do it, it will pay for itself in tire wear and fuel economy. You should do it annually.
Correct.
We don't.
No.
Very few people do it annually.
You get a pothole.
It's a great idea to do it. If you don't do it annually, you should at least do it semi-annually. So every other year, you should at least get the vehicle in, have it aligned. It will change. It won't be a big change, but it will change. We start talking about gas prices that are, $3.60, $3.80 in a diesel, $4 a gallon. Every little bit that we can shave off helps. So one of those ways is making sure that suspension alignment is where it needs to be. When somebody's doing an alignment, and Dean knows this from doing them, there's lots of things that get inspected. It's just not simply pulling it in, putting the heads on, checking alignment. A true alignment, when you're doing it correctly, involves a full inspection of the front end, right, Dean?
Correct. The ride height is very important, too.
Yeah, and Dean just made a mention of something that I have seen for myself in different shops over the years. Guy pulls it in, goes to do an alignment, and they never check ride height. That's a huge no-no.
Big miss.
That is a huge miss, because if you're not checking ride height, what happens, Dean?
All your angles are changed.
Yeah. And they change because if you're, say for example, the left front is a ½ inch lower than the right front, that's going to change alignment specs. Now, it could be that it's a ½ inch low just because of wear and tear in the vehicle, where it's at. Maybe it's not worth fixing. Maybe it is. Those are all things that somebody in a good facility that understands front end alignments can share with you and explain, hey, you know what, John, you're down a ½ inch low in the right front. You know, we need to go ahead and take a peek at that, look at it, see what we need to do. There's no adjustments to be made. If it's low, that's either a spring issue, something along those lines. Maybe it's not, though. Maybe it's weight in the vehicle. Maybe there's stuff in the back of the trunk that's all on the right-hand side. All sorts of things can cause ride height issues, right, Dean?
Yeah, definitely. And if you're doing new struts, to have your springs replaced usually is a good idea at the time, too.
Great idea. Yeah, and that's something else we don't talk much about on the show. So, well, we repeat what Dean just said. If you're putting front struts on, and it's got especially over 100,000 miles on the vehicle, you definitely need to be looking at putting springs on at the same time. Just don't put struts on it. And you can actually buy them as a package now.
Yep.
So they all come assembled, ready to go, dialed in with one another. Put those in, and you'll have a lot better controllability, ride, etc. One of the things, and we've mentioned this on the show in the past, but we don't get into it as much as we should. Suspension components that wear out, shocks, steering, etc. I liken it to, it's like a pair of shoes. Okay, you wear the same pair of shoes day in and day out. You know, you really don't think much about the wear and tear that are on those shoes until you go try a new pair on. You go to the shoe store and you say, you know, man, these things are getting kind of, it's not even so much the sole that wears out. You're just kind of looking at them like, well, they're getting kind of beat up and they don't look as good as they used to. Then you go try a new pair on. Then you go try a new pair on and you're like, wow.
The support.
Yeah, dude, these things feel different. Well, guess what? The same thing happens on your car. What I'm getting at, what Dean and I are getting at, is the change doesn't happen overnight. That wear and tear that happened on the vehicle, the wearing out of the struts and the springs and the front end components, etc., that didn't happen overnight. It happens over thousands and thousands of miles. You don't even notice the difference until you go put new components on, right, Dean?
Correct.
And I don't know about Dean, but how many cars I've been in over the years, I can't count that high, where you get in it, you go drive it, and you think, wow, this is like driving a new car.
Yeah.
It's night and day, and literally, it's night and day. Randy's got a comment on suspension. Randy, what's going on?
Hey, hello, John.
How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good to hear from you.
Taste of fall in the
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I had a question. I know they kept the price of my Caliber down because they go to kind of cheap, but I Googled it, and a lot of people seem to say that the suspension just gets eaten up. And, you're replacing tie rods, struts, ball joints, and so on.
Right.
So my question is, when it does come time, and I do keep it off washboard rolls, by the way.
It helps.
But my question is, when it does come time to replace this stuff, am I better off putting in the same stuff that's going to break, let's say OEM, or should I go for something in aftermarket that may last me a little longer this time around?
Dean, I'll let you answer that. I've got my own opinion, but I'll let Dean chime in.
Okay.
I missed something.
He's asking, if you go to replace parts, suspension parts especially, do you go back to factory or do you try to use an upgraded part if one's available?
Well, the reason I ask is because this car is a low price, and from what I hear, it's cheap suspension.
Yeah, what he's talking about, he's got a Dodge Caliber, so it's not a Cadillac by any means. So
staying as close to OE as possible is a good.
Yep, or higher quality. I mean, you definitely don't want to go any cheaper than what you've got.
Oh no,
but you definitely
But if it's going to eat up the OEM, am I wise to go back with the same OEM?
No, if you can go to an upgraded component, that's always wise. Just remember, every vehicle, and I'd have to look at yours, they're not always available. So in some cases, it's going to be an OE equivalent that's not going to be anything better. Now, this brings up a great point, Randy. I'm glad you called in and asked, because there is a huge, huge, huge difference in the quality of front-end components that you can buy for most any vehicle.
Right.
There are Chinese-made components, I should say imported components, overseas components, Taiwan, Chinese, etc.
Right.
And they are not the same quality of what you've even got on there right now. They will fit, they will work, they'll make the vehicle drive, but they are not the same component. They do not have the same longevity, to Dean's point. They will cost a lot less. So this goes back to my point of, there's always somebody calling around trying to get a cheaper price for X.
Right.
You can always find a cheaper price. Does that mean it's the right price? Chances are no.
Yep. I know you get what you pay for. I just wondered if the OEM isn't up to standard. If they put cheap stuff on, I don't want to replace it with cheap stuff.
Well, and you bring up a great point, too, Randy. By the way, everybody else listening, this is something just to make a note of. As a vehicle gets older and the parts supply for that particular vehicle starts to diminish,
right,
it gets a lot more equal on the playing field as far as what's in the marketplace, dealer versus aftermarket. And I will go on record saying this, typically speaking, in an older vehicle, you can go down and find as good, if not better, parts at the local Napa store than what you're going to buy from the dealer because of what I just said.
And you might even save money at the Napa.
And you'll typically save some money. That's exactly right. Yep.
Very
good question, by the way, Randy. Great question, great add to what we're talking about.
Yep, okay, thank you guys.
Hey, man, right on. Appreciate it very much. Line's open. Call us. We'll get you in before this last little segment of the second hour of Drive Radio, 303-477-5600. What's your favorite fall drive? Nobody's called in and said that yet. I know I can't be the only one out here that enjoys looking at the colors up in the mountains. Do I specifically take a drive every year? No, not every year, but have I done enough in my lifetime to know where to drive? Yes. You guys do, too. Share that with one another. Some of you enjoy getting out and doing these things. Tell us, what's your favorite fall drive? Where do you really like to go to see the colors? 303-477-5600. Lines are open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. Or any question you've got. We say it all the time. There's no dumb question on Drive Radio. Call us. We'll get you right on air. And I know today's been kind of a grayish, kind of a sun's out, not out. It's been kind of coolish. You can tell winter's coming. So what? Call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Dean Carlson, John Rush. I'm your host. We'll be back right after this here on KLZ 560.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find in every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-line belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff. With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff. Napa Auto Parts.
Ah, summer. A time of fun, sun, high temperatures, and the ultimate family road trip. Before embarking on the ultimate family adventure, bring your vehicle over to Fort Collins 4x4 Center for a little TLC. Our summer maintenance inspection includes pressure testing your air conditioning system, checking your coolant levels and tire pressure, testing your battery, inspecting your hoses and belts for cracks, cuts, and bulges, testing your transmission, power steering, and brake fluids. Having your vehicle inspected before a long road trip can keep you on the road, not stuck beside during your vacation. Fort Collins 4x4 is under new ownership as of January 2014. Stop by and see what's new. Located a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock, we're open to serve you Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30 p.m. with shuttle service and after-hours drop. Give us a call at 970-482-5500. Follow us on Facebook or check us out at FortCollins4x4.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Or are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutojobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutojobs.com. NapaAutoJobs.com and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application. Napa Auto Parts, an equal opportunity employer. All right, Matt's got some of his punk rock music going on that he plays during the week. I don't know why these guys like that music, but they do. But that's okay. We'll let Matt play what he wants. He's in charge. He has the board. He's got the controls. He can do whatever he wants to. So
come on, it's not that bad. I'll put something on that you guys will like.
I was never into punk rock. That's a Ken Clark bumper music. So Ken doesn't listen on Saturdays, I doubt. Actually, he's down in Vegas this weekend anyway. So
yeah, he's going to see Atlas Shrugged this week.
Yes, he is.
He's going to see the third one. He saw the premiere in Texas when he was with America for Prosperity when he was in Texas last week, but now he is in Las Vegas for the world premiere of it with actually the producer, which he's had on the show the last couple of days.
Speaking of which, those of you that are out there listening, we will keep listening to KLZ through the week. Next Friday night, so I believe it's the 12th, we will be out at the Westminster Promenade. We will have a special showing of Atlas Shrugged, the new one that's coming out. It'll be a premiere. There'll be a question and answer time. If that's something you're interested in, please listen during the week. We'll have some tickets, some information, how to get involved with that. It'll be a lot of fun. You can come out and meet myself, all of us that'll be hosts that'll be there, the other 4 hosts that are here on KLZ during the week. It'll be a blast. We'll have station management there. Again, the producer of the movie will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if that's something you're interested in, send me an email. Keep listening, however you want to do that. We'd love to have you out and be a part of that. So that is next Friday night. Atlas Shrugged, the premiere of it here in the Denver area. Got a caller coming in. As soon as I'm done with him, I will talk to you about the Subaru Outback versus the Cherokee. So, Art, you're up next. Art, what's going on?
Okay, thank you. I was just listening to you, and it fit exactly with my current problem. I've been struggling with this for about 2 or 3 months now. I've got a 99 Yukon.
Okay.
It's an older car.
Yep.
It fits with what you were just talking about. The catalytic converters need to be replaced, and I still cannot decide whether I want to go OEM or aftermarket. The difference between the two is about $1,000.
Yes, they are.
So it's a lot.
Yes.
And I plan on keeping the car for a little while. I ended up putting about $2,000 a couple of years ago into the front end to get that completely rebuilt.
Okay.
So what I'm wanting is what's the deal with the aftermarket catalytic converters?
Great question. This is a fantastic. We're glad you called in. We don't talk much about this. It comes up from time to time on the show, but I'm glad you called. This one is a little bit different than the typical question when it comes to buying, aftermarket stuff. Aftermarket cats, you have to be very, very careful in. And what I mean by that is there is definitely a good, better, best, or terrible, if you would, even when it comes to catalytic converters. In fact, I had a guy call me this morning, an old friend of mine that needs some work done on a 94 Nissan his daughter's driving, and it needs cats on it because he told me what's wrong with it, why it failed the mission, and I can tell from what he was describing that it needs catalytic converters. And what you have to be careful of with catalytic converters in the aftermarket is making sure you're buying a high enough quality cat that will last. And what I mean by that is you could put a cat on it, have it pass emissions, have it work fine, but a year from now it won't pass. Why? Because it was cheaper in the first place because there's less precious metals inside of it, which is what is used inside the cat to reduce the emissions in the first place. Now, I say all that to say this. You can still buy a good, high-quality catalytic converter for your vehicle from Napa. You just need to make sure you're buying the OE equivalent to making sure that you're getting it. And I don't know in that particular case if the price is going to be $1,000 difference or not. I'd have to look it up, and I don't have that in front of me.
Okay. So I've got quotes from both of them. Yeah, the dealers wanting around $1,900 to get 2 cats. And the local suppliers are only about $900.
Yeah, and part of that difference is what we did just explain a little bit ago, is as that vehicle gets older and the parts supply diminishes inside of the factory side of the fence, the prices actually don't go down, they go back up because they're not selling as much as they used to, and that gets a great opportunity for the aftermarket to produce, items that actually work very well for a lot less money.
As long as the can is curb approved.
Yep. Yeah, and Dean just brought up a great point. Make sure that it is CARB approved, CARB approved. That's the California Air Research Board.
Okay, now what is that giving us?
That's a higher standard that cat will pass than a regular typical cat.
Does that mean it will last longer?
Yes.
Okay.
That means it's got the right precious metals in it, etc., to meet or exceed what needs to happen on the vehicle.
It'll keep
So
the check engine light off.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dean.
It'll keep the check engine light off.
A CARB-approved cat.
CARB-approved cat. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but you just said that the aftermarkets may not keep the check engine light off for a longer period of time. If it is CARB approved, is that equivalent to the OEM?
Supposed to be, yes.
Okay, good. Yes. Okay, that's important to know.
Now, one thing that you need to be aware of, and again, everybody else listening needs to pay attention to this. I've seen some pretty cheap import cats with a CARB approval on it. And what you have to be careful of is there's a lot of disguises that can go on the boxes, and yet it's still really not if it's really CARB approved, it'll have a number saying so. If it just says CARB approved, it may not be CARB approved.
Oh, okay. And what will that number be?
You know, I'd have to look it up, but typically there will be some sort of a number associated with the CARB approval. If it just says CARB approved and there's no other documentation to go along with it, it probably isn't.
Okay, is that CARB, is that number something like a specification that they're referring to, or some regulation?
No, a specification typically.
Okay.
And again, I haven't seen that a lot, but it does exist. I've read articles about it. There are counterfeit parts coming into the U.S. on a daily basis, so you have to really be careful and watch for those. And typically it goes back to what Randy and I were talking about a little bit ago, is you get what you pay for.
Okay.
If it seems too good to be true, there's probably a reason it is.
Yes, thank you.
All right, I appreciate you calling in. And that's that topic, Dean, we don't probably cover enough here on Drive Radio, is the catalytic converter end of things. There is a lot of inadequate catalytic converters on the market. And what I mean by inadequate is they will work, you can put them on, they'll run through the lane, they'll get you past now, but if you were to test that car in 6 months, they probably won't pass again.
Or 2 years later, when it fails emissions again, they're back.
You're back at putting another cat on it. Yep. So be really careful. And some of this I'm talking from personal experience, because I've seen some of these cats. I've tried some of the ones that you think are going to work, that are less money. You can save somebody some money on doing it that way, save money on the job, and when it's all said and done, you haven't saved anybody anything, and it just costs everybody money, the customer time, the shop money, the supplier has to resource another part out, etc. So no, just buy the good stuff to begin with. That's the only way to do it. All right, before we close out this second hour of Drive Radio, first hour if you're listening on a Sunday, had a call or an email a while back about should I buy a Subaru Outback or a Jeep Cherokee, the new Cherokee. So after just driving the Outback, and I've been inside the Cherokee, and by the way, I like both vehicles. I'm not going to diss either one of the vehicles. They're both good vehicles. But for me personally, if I had to go out and buy one or the other for just everyday driving reliability, using it, having fun with it, going places, etc., the reliability factor, my pick is the Subaru. Now, I'm not an old Subaru guy. In fact, I've probably been a Jeep guy way longer than I've ever been a Subaru guy. So that's coming from a totally, just driving it, looking at the features that each one has. They are both a very nice vehicle. The 2015 Outback has a lot of great new features on it that they haven't done on Outbacks in the past. They have just completely redone the dash area, the nav and the audio system. The front grille assembly is different now. The 3.6-liter engine works fantastic and frankly has more power than the Cherokee. That's partially why I push more that direction. The back end, the cargo area, also has more space than the Cherokee has, and the second seat legroom is higher than you're going to get on the Cherokee. So overall, it's just a more comfortable, versatile vehicle than the Cherokee. Now, I'll add one tidbit to the Cherokee that they just came out with to help with fuel economy. Drove the vehicle 2 weeks ago. It now comes with the 2015 Cherokee with start-stop technology. So you pull up to the stoplight, shut it off, or pull up to a stoplight, the engine will shut off automatically. release the brake, creep forward, whatever you do, engine will automatically start back up, thereby saving you fuel economy. So that's a new feature coming out on the Cherokee. Is that a deal breaker, buying one versus the other? Not in my opinion. Now, you need to go out, drive both of them, and I keep talking about Isaac Bouchard, our broker. If you've got questions on either car, want to drive them, want to get behind the wheel, figure all of that out, his number 303-475-1462. And then when you get ready to insure it, by all means, call Paul Leuenberger, our insurance agent, 303-619-9891, and Paul will save you money across the board no matter what he's insuring. So, guys, with that, second hour is complete. Third hour is coming up. Unless it's Sunday, it's now going to be the second hour, but keep listening. Blaze News is next. Don't go away. John Rush, your host. Dean Carlson from Four Seasons also with me. Larry Unger on the other side of the glass along with Matter Engineer, and we'll be back. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
I'm money coming down, wasting all my time. Cause when you stand so near,
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Another fine Colorado weekend as we say goodbye to summer. But the Broncos are kicking off Sunday night. And on the morning show, Jimmy Sengenberger in for me on Monday. Victor Davis Hanson will be back. Your calls and so much more. Have a great weekend. And then wake up with Randy Corcoran, 5 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday on KLZ 560.
Freedom, liberty, truth. KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Brad James. President Obama has decided to delay any executive action on immigration until after the November congressional elections. The president's still saying he has the power to authorize certain measures to ease deportations without congressional legislation and promises to act before the end of the year. Democrats worrying that taking steps now would energize Republican opposition against vulnerable Senate Democrats. It's been all about ISIS, but what about Al-Qaeda? The Blaze Radio's Ken Stevens reports.
Terror experts agree Al-Qaeda, not ISIS, is more likely to be behind any attack on U.S. soil. While they say ISIS has no shortage of fighters, money, or desire, it's Al-Qaeda that has the terrorist tradecraft, according to Scott Stewart with geopolitical research firm Stratfor. Stewart telling FoxNews.com the main concern is these grassroots individuals already here pursuing an ideology of committing jihad in the West.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making the switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to The Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Severin. Or, if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to the Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is the Blaze. Truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
Randy Corcoran at 5, Laura Ingram at 8, Monday morning on KLZ 560.
mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. She'll do a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque. Whatever that is. Performance maybe just what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
All right, and we are back. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. Last hour of Drive Radio. Had a call through the news there that wanted to know where I'm getting my info on the fall drives, and I posted this to Facebook earlier, but I'm just adding it again, so it's going to come up a couple of times. Of course, the one I just added will be at the top, so you can actually look at it. The URL is too long to get. You won't get it right if I even explain it on the radio because of all of the, having to put down the slashes and the dashes and all that stuff. So just go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Drive Radio. Whether you're a Facebook user or not, you can still see all of our info. It's all public. It's called 8 Fall Drives in Colorado, and it's coming off of a guy's site called KevsCaptures.com, and it's KevsCaptures.com. It's a blog that this guy's got. I don't know if it's a guy. It could be a lady. Actually, I didn't look at that. I didn't go back and research whether this is a man or a woman. I apologize. Anyways, I put it up on our Facebook page. Take a peek at it. All the information is there. You can just click on it, and it'll take you right to what we've been talking about. And I've got a couple more of those still to cover before we end the show. So let's see. Last we ended with, so we just got out of place here, the Cottonwood Pass, we did. Okay, so number 3 of the southern end of the state is the Highway of Legends Scenic Byway. Google it. There's a ton of stuff on this drive. It's about 90 miles and 3 hours of your time, but a very nice road trip. Make sure the kids' electronics are fully charged before you go, or in my case, you just go because I don't have kids anymore, or they have to have a better appreciation for the natural beauty around them than mine do. So this may be a man or woman. I can't tell from the writing here. The Dallas Divide. This long drive is well worth the rewards at the end. You'll pass Blue Mesa, Gunnison, and the Black Canyon. Look at your route options before you leave. At least one option will take you over Monarch Pass, a destination all its own. Once you reach Dallas Divide, the vibrant reds and yellows of fall take over the scrub in breathtaking vistas that are just off the highway, and it is a beautiful view, and looks like in this particular picture there had been a little bit of snow in the background. So, in closing, these are the 8 locations, and certainly not a comprehensive list. Each destination here is a minivan / family-friendly, no four-wheel drive required. So I put that on there on purpose so that you didn't have to have a four-wheel drive to go do it. So anyways, that's kind of the completion of our fall drives. I've got other things I want to talk about. One of them that I had mentioned earlier is there's a great little survival kit that I actually put out on Facebook earlier this week too. You can put it all inside of a coffee can. If we have time through this last hour, I'll talk about it. If not, it's all on our Facebook page. But it's a coffee can survival kit you can make on your own, which as we get into the fall and winter months is a great thing to actually have with you. All right, Andrew in Castle Rock is up next. Andrew, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, it is clearing up. I see more blue than clouds
That's right.
now.
Good thing.
Hey, I've had this Honda CR-V for about a year, and over the last 9 months, I've had to add maybe a quart of the radiator fluid, and I'm using the Honda fluid that I got from their parts department and so forth. But would there be any reason for a minor consumption of that? I don't know if the radiator cap would have anything to do with that, and I always check it when it's cold in the morning, mainly before I go on a trip. I say, man, it's low again, and I'll bring it up closer to the high level. But what are your thoughts on that?
Have you had the radiator cap
I'm going to let
checked?
Dean do this.
Have you tested the radiator cap?
No.
How many miles are on it?
40,000-ish. Yeah.
about 40,000-ish, 2011. I'd probably have the radiator cap checked and see if you're losing something out through there. Overflow bottle, you don't see any spots on the ground?
No?
Underneath or...
No, I'm not noticing any. It's my wife's car, and I'll...
Well, if you're losing a core, that amount of time, you're probably not going to see it hit the ground. It might just be building up on the backside of the block or underneath some engine cover or something.
Okay. Is there like a UV light I could use to help find it, or is there any tricks like that?
You could try black light, UV light. I don't know if I can't remember if Honda has a dye in it that actually shows up like Glyco does.
Okay. And a quick follow-up question on the transmission fluid.
Yes.
You have to have that engine running and in park to check the dipstick on that?
I would have to look on a CRV. I don't know the CRV all that well. What does it say? Typically, it's going to tell you, of course, in the owner's manual. Have you looked at that to see?
Yeah, and it seemed to me like it did not indicate engine running. And I thought, well, I'll call these guys. They'll know.
Well, I can look. You know what? And I can do this really quick as we're talking. So it's a 2011 CRV.
Yeah.
Let me look here real quick. CRV EXLX SE.
The expensive one. I don't know.
SE. All-wheel drive or front-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive.
Okay. And I'm guessing at which transmission code it has, because I don't know, so hang on here. You're not going to know that right off the top, typically speaking.
Well, it's a slick transmission in that I'm going down a hill. It'll downshift for me, and I don't have to put it in that second gear to keep from getting the brakes hot coming down a hill and things. It's a nice setup.
Level check.
As long as we're engine off.
Park vehicle on level ground, warm up the engine to a normal operating temperature, turn the engine off. Do not allow the engine to warm up longer than the time it takes for the radiator fan to come on twice.
Okay, so it's gotta be, so I can come home after a trip, park it in the garage, which is level, then turn the engine off.
Yep.
And then check it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That helps.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Make sure you use Honda fluid.
Yeah, and use the Honda fluid. That's a great point, Dean.
Yes.
Yep. Thanks for mentioning
Okay,
that. Yeah, you're very welcome. We also had a listener that called in, gave us some more tips on the cats, which I'm glad he did. I could have looked this up, but hey, we've got listeners listening that help us out all the time, and I appreciate that very much. Carb-approved cats will have the letter D stamped on the case of the cat. So if it does not have a carb number with a D embossed on the cat itself, it is not carb approved. And in the rest of this email he sent me, he said most aftermarket cats won't go more than 2 years, so plan on replacing the cat for each emissions test. And this information was put out by the Colorado Emissions, Air Care Colorado actually put that out in a lot of the classes, and I'd been to some of those, and yes, they are really pushing for the factory cats. I will say this, and I think, Larry, you can attest to it, Dean, you can too. Napa does have a very high-quality line of catalytic converters that do meet all the specifications that will last longer than a year or two, but you've got to use their highest quality cat to make that happen. But no, all that information is correct, David, from Idaho. Thank you for calling in and letting us know that. So that's an out-of-state listener. So, David, thanks so much for calling us and telling us that. I do appreciate that very much on the letter D on the embossing of the catalytic converter to make sure that it is, in fact, carb approved. C-A-R-B approved. So, with that, lines open. Call us. We'd love to talk to you. 303-477-5600. As you can tell, we've had more time today than we typically have. People out doing stuff. High school football started. Sports for your kids has started. School's up. Things are winding down, getting ready for winter. In turn, we've had more time today to talk than we normally have. So if you've got a question, maybe it's something you've been waiting to call in on because you just didn't have quite enough time to talk about it, call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. We've only got about 45 minutes of the show left. We'll get you on as quickly as we can. In the meantime, the survival kit. It's really not a survival kit, but what you can put the coffee can survival kit for your car. What can you put in it? And by the way, this is just a regular Folgers coffee can. And I'm going to put in here some of the things that were inside this can. So here's a list, if I can get down to it. Okay, so the general items you can put in this kit. Braided nylon rope, 25 feet, a mirror, 2 boxes of matches, some fire starter, poncho, the bright orange ones, which would attract attention if you can find the bright orange, which, by the way, in Bronco country is not hard to do. That's real easy. A little bit of TP, great idea. Not only does the toilet paper help if you have to use the bathroom, but it also gives you something to light if you really needed to get into that situation. A candle wrapped in aluminum foil, paper and a pencil. I hadn't thought about that one, Dean. That's never been on my list before. Typically, there's one in the car anyways, but put this in your kit. Fishing line, hooks, and split-shot leads. I guess in case you really get stranded, you need to fish for your food, you could do that. A knife, a whistle. Whistle's not a bad. I'd never heard of that one before either. That's a good one, too. If you get down in a ravine or something, you could whistle for some help. Money. 2 nickels, 2 dimes, 2 quarters, a $20 bill. Helpful for making a phone call or paying for gas, if you get broke down along the road, of course. Garbage bags, this has always been on my list, 2 large-sized garbage bags, not only for, you can use them for all sorts of things, not only for, throwing trash away, which isn't going to be the case. You can use them to keep yourself dry. You can lay it down on the ground if you have to sleep. You can build a shelter with them. All sorts of things garbage bags come in handy with. And bright orange survivor's tape. There's more things that we're going to put in this kit. We'll keep talking about it right after this. Let's go to Jason before our first break. You know what? Hang on. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Then we'll come back, talk to Jason. Jason, hang with me. I'll get you as soon as we come back. Don't go away. John Rush, Dean Carlson, your host, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right parts store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Rose and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at Gino'sAutoservice.com. That's Gino'sAutoservice.com.
Are you driving with the check engine light on? Has that light been going on and off? Arvada West Auto and Truck is here to help you understand what could be wrong. Our technicians are specially trained to handle warning lights. If your vehicle is a 1996 or newer, it stores a history that helps us diagnose the problem, even if the warning light is not currently on. Don't wait until your vehicle breaks down and leaves you stranded. Call 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com, where every question is important.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
Much better, Matt. That's more my kind of music. Thank you for changing us out of the punk rocker into a little AC/DC. Thank you very much. Much, much better. To tell Ken Clark to start listening to some different music. No, you can't tell Ken what to do. He's his own man. And so am I. So it doesn't work too well. It doesn't work too well either way. So anyways, Matt just has to know who he's engineering for and what music to play. So good stuff. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. Jason is up next. Jason, welcome. What can we do for you, Jason? And I think Jason put the horn. I can't talk. Jason put the horn down for just a moment. So Larry, when he comes back, tell him I'll get him right back as soon as he gets back on. Brian is up next. Brian, welcome.
Hey guys, great show.
Thank you.
Appreciate your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you for calling.
No problem. Hey, listen, I got a 2006 Toyota Sienna, and about 9 months ago, I had pulsing in the brakes when I hit the brakes. So I took it to a shop, and they turned the rotors and replaced the brake pads, and the pulsing went away.
Okay.
And about 9 months later, the pulsing kind of came back.
Yep.
So I decided that I didn't want to go to that same shop again, so I picked a different shop, very well recommended, good pedigree, and I took it into them and I said, listen, I explained the whole situation, and my concern was that I have an underlying problem that keeps eating brakes and rotors, and they said, no problem, we'll look into it. And they came back to me and said, yeah, it needs brakes, pads, and rotors all the way around. And so my question is twofold. One is, so they did brakes, pads, rotors, they flushed the brakes, and they did an oil change, and the cost was about $1,100.
Okay.
And so my question to you is, do you think that price is reasonable, number one? And I got to be honest, I paid it without really looking too much detail into the cost. And then after I got it home and I started looking at the bill, what I discovered was they used ceramic pads.
Okay.
They put OEM rotors on it.
Okay.
And it looks like they marked up the prices about 50%.
They should be, or they won't stay in business.
Yeah. I mean, enough 50% over like list prices. So I guess I want to know what's a reasonable.
Well, depends on whether. I mean, number one question: the $1,100 total price for everything they did. That's not out of the park at all. That's pretty common for what you're going to do with full rotors, ceramic pads, an oil change, a brake fluid flush. That's not out of the norm at all. And by the way, that's what should have been done the first time around, and you wouldn't have had to do it twice. You cannot resurface rotors anymore, hardly at all. There's very few vehicles that fit the qualifications of a resurface.
Gotcha.
So, so you know, do you get what you pay for? Yes, and the reality is now, yes, you paid $1,100, but you probably aren't going to do brakes now again for 3 or 4 years.
So my question is, and now my second question, if you don't mind, another question.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
So now, when I'm going down the road, the problem is that it doesn't pulse when I hit the brakes, but if I go maybe 10 miles an hour and I just roll down the road and I let my hands off the wheel, my steering wheel, it vibrates back and forth, so just right, left, right, left.
That is more of a suspension/tire issue than or alignment than it is brakes.
Than it is brakes. Okay.
Yes.
So when I take it in somewhere, I should have them look at that.
Yep.
Other than
and honestly, if the other place, I mean, yeah, their prices seem high, but again, it all comes back down to warranties, etc. And again, in Inglewood, you're not far from our shops in the Colorado Select group. You can go to coloradoselect.com and find a shop. Yeah, I would have an alignment check done. Have them look at the tires, find out why you've got that wobble, that we call that a steering vibration, if you would, going down the road at that 10 miles an hour. That's going to be tires/suspension/alignment.
Gotcha. Okay. And who do you recommend right here in like Broadway and Bellevue area?
Go down and see Geno's. And Steve's got all this. In fact, Steve's adding a big, huge addition just to put all his alignment stuff in, just so he can do more of that. So yeah, go see Steve.
Awesome. I'll check them out.
All right, guys. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Brian. Great phone call, by the way. Great questions, and I appreciate the call. Let's go to Gary, who is up next. Gary, welcome.
Yeah. I want your thoughts on power glide or aluminum power glide transmission.
Okay.
Putting in like a 57 Chevy.
Okay.
Would you recommend putting in a 350 or something like that? Or
it depends on what you're going to be doing with the vehicle. I used to run a power glide in my race car back in the day, and I believe I don't race anymore, but that's still been a very, very popular transmission. There's companies now. I mean, that's one of those transmissions that everybody thought at one time was going to die. The racing guys got a hold of it and figured out that, hey, we can do a few upgrades to this thing and actually make this thing perform extremely well. Every time a vehicle shifts, when you're going down a drag strip, of course, every time it shifts, you're losing a little bit of time, and so to have just a single shift in that power glide actually made those vehicles run, better in the quarter mile. So a lot of guys are still using the 2-speed power glides for that. In your particular case, what you really need to look at more is what are you going to do with the car once it's finished. And where I'm going with that is if you're going to do a lot of highway driving, I would probably look more at doing one of the 4-speed automatics, like a $700 Ford transmission, where you've got the automatic overdrive, which gives you a lower RPM at a higher speed. You could drive the car at 65, 70 miles an hour. That's tough to do with a 350, 400, or a Power Glide.
Yeah. Okay, but it would be just as good as a 350 or
Yeah, the Power Glide's built. As long as you've got the right guy building it, they work fantastic.
So how about gas mileage? Would it?
You're not going to see much difference on that. You're not driving that car for mileage, anyways.
Right.
That's not an issue. Sorry, it's not. You're not driving and owning that car for fuel mileage.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, I got 273s in the rear end, a Camaro rear end in it.
Okay. Yeah, the Power Glide would work fine in that. Yeah, they really would.
Okay.
They got a good low first gear in them.
Yeah.
They shift into the second gear and off you go. A lot of guys made fun of them back in the day, but they've turned out to be a really good transmission.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Take care. Let's go to Jason, who's back with us. Jason, welcome.
Yeah, back.
What can we do for you?
Talking about an 02 Chevrolet Blazer.
Okay.
I think it's they call it S10, I'm not sure.
Yes.
80,000 miles. They had the fluid change of transmission at one time, and now there's fluid all over the bottom of the transmission. And I noticed it was overfull. I can't tell how much is overfull, but it's over the full mark.
Okay.
More than I think it should be.
Okay.
An indication of its overfill, it's blowing out somewhere?
It could be blowing out the vent tube if they've overfilled it. Sure, that's very, very, very possible.
Is there any danger to the transmission running that far?
No, not really any danger to the transmission, but you don't want to run it overfilled because, of course, you're going to get a mess and it's going to leak, etc. You want to get drained out of it, whatever is in it that's made it overfilled, and make sure you don't have any other seal damage from it being overfilled.
One other question on the warranty on those cats. You didn't speak on the warranty on those aftermarkets. I just wanted to.
Depends on, and Dean, you can probably talk to this, but I'm going to let Dean answer this. He can talk to this better than I can because he puts more of them on than I do. Dean?
It depends on the manufacturer mostly. You are guaranteed usually about 50,000 miles, I think, on some of them.
But you've got the labor to go back in and replace it if it needs it.
Yeah.
Are those of them welded in, or they?
Most of them are welded, cut to fits. There is some direct fits, but not often.
And that's, again, back to our point we were making earlier, that's why it's very important to make sure that you're buying high-quality cats, because the labor to put them on typically isn't as much as it is for the cat, because the cats aren't cheap, but you want to make sure you're buying a high-quality cat, somebody that's going to stand behind it with the warranty.
Correct.
Again, I go back to my, import counterfeit parts, and there's a lot of those running around out there, especially in the catalytic converter world. Make sure you're buying a high-quality cat.
Typically, they want to take care of the warranty, the labor too, and they change it out on the warranty.
If you do it with Napa, yes, they would. If it's somebody else, it's anybody's guess.
I see.
That all comes down to the manufacturer.
Okay, and one other quick thing on the Impala, on the rear shocks, struts. Is it important to align it afterwards?
If you're just doing shocks, no. If it's struts, yes.
When you're replacing the strut,
When you're doing struts, yes.
Is there a change in alignment when you do that?
It can change your ride height, definitely. And it depends on if they're adjustable rear struts on them. If they're adjustable rear, then you have to have forward alignment done to make sure your track is correct.
So you do the rear, you got to do the front also?
No.
Same time?
It's not necessarily. I'm one that says typically if you've got front struts that need replaced, which typically the fronts go out of it faster than the rear. If you're going to do the fronts, I'm one that says do the rears also. It's like tires.
Right.
If you're going to do two, do four. It just makes things that much easier. Don't cobble it up and do two at one time and then two later. Do all four, align it, you're done, handle, everything's much better that way.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's the way I would do it. You bet. Thank you very much for the call. Let's go to Bill, who's next. Bill, what's going on today?
Hey, just in case anybody's curious, I upgraded from the Silverado Truck of the Year to the new one.
Okay.
And there is a difference.
Yes, there is.
It's actually quite a difference.
There is quite a difference.
And then the truck I, upgraded from has 12,000 miles on it. It's not like it was
So what are you driving right now, Bill?
the Silverado.
The 2014, a half-ton? Okay,
Yeah.
it'd have to be a half-ton. It's 2014.
What's that?
Yes, it'd have to be a 1500 if it's a 2014.
Right, I got the All-Star edition.
Got it.
It's got the only thing is, though, I just wish these manufacturers would put better tires on them. They're all putting highway tires on them.
Yeah, they've pretty much, they're looking for fuel economy. Some of that has to do with the CAFE rating. Some of it is ride quality. There's all sorts of reasons behind that. I'm with you. I wish they'd give you at least the option to put the other tires on, but they don't.
I spent $1,000 yesterday.
Yep.
Put new tires on it, and it rides better with the new tires.
Yep. Yeah, that's a.
Like you said, I didn't buy a truck like that for gas mileage.
No, you buy it for everything else, but that's, again, they're having to beat to a different drum because of our corporate, fuel economy standards, our CAFE ratings, et cetera. You'd have to go send a letter to Obama and talk to him about that one.
What did you say, Obama?
Yeah, no, I said send a letter to him.
Okay, take it easy.
You betcha, Bill. Take care. Appreciate that. All right. With that, line's open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. We'll get you right on air. And anything you got, any questions, comments, etc. I'll continue to talk about the survival kit. Get into the very last segment. I'll start talking about truck and trailer maintenance. Call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Dion Carlson and John Rush, KLZ 560.
Have you failed an emissions test and don't know what to do? Have you been trying to fix it yourself? Arvada West is your answer. We score 100% on our success ratio. That's confidence for the customer. We are always willing to explain the repair process to you with the proven diagnostic format that we have developed since the emissions program began here in Colorado. For an honest, understandable, and reasonable price diagnosis, stop by and see us. We've helped clean our Colorado air since 1981. Call Arvada West Auto and Truck 303-422-1065 or see us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com. If you would like to stop by to make an appointment, we are at 11752 West 64th Avenue.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in Boulder? At John's 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From big trucks to diesel pickups, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to John's 4x4. Located on Arapahoe Road, just east of 63rd, behind Carpet 1. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at John's 4x4 Center are committed to providing the personal and professional service you're looking for. Give them a call at 303-449-2640. Check them out on the web or follow them on Facebook at johns4x4.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Or are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutoJobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutoJobs.com and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application. Napa Auto Parts, an equal opportunity employer. All right, we're back. Thanks for tuning in. 303-477-5600. That's our phone number. Call us and we will get you right on air as soon as we possibly can. I got to close a few tabs here on my browser here so I know where I'm at here. We'll talk about the survival kit once we're done with George. George in Pueblo, what's going on today?
Hey, I have a 99 Expedition. It has a 5.4 in it.
Okay.
And the engine light came on, and we had the computer hooked to it, and they told us that the spark plugs needed changed, so we changed those out. Then the coils were acting, they said the coils were bad, so we changed the coils out. And it was running a lot better. And when I was coming home, the engine, I took it for a ride, and the engine got warm. It didn't get hot. It just, the temperature gauge got to where it needed to be. And all of a sudden, the engine just started shaking. The truck started shaking like crazy. The engine would barely run. And so there was a vacuum line that had a problem, and I changed that out, and it still won't run. I don't even know where to start.
Well, we started by calling us. That's a good place to start. Dean, what do you think?
Check engine light on. Solid.
No, it's not on right now. I don't know why the engine light's not on now, but it was on before solid, but it's not anymore.
Well, how about when you turn the key off and the key back on, does the check engine light turn on as a check engine? Yeah, and it goes off when you start it?
Yes.
It shakes, no power.
Yeah, it acts like it wants to die, and then it catches and revs up a little bit, and then it tries to die again. And
so it's basically hunting for a RPM. Is that what it's doing?
That's
no power.
A good description.
Okay,
right?
so it's hunting, no power. Well, and we've talked about this a lot on there already. First thing somebody's gonna have to do is get a good scan tool on it, find out exactly what's going on, what codes are there. There's gonna be, if the check engine light's been on, there's gonna be some codes there that are stored. Don't clear them. Make sure that they stay in there. You could have a fuel issue. You could have an electrical issue. You could have a combination of both.
Plug cat.
You could have a plugged up cat, which we've talked about a lot on the show today. Lots of things can cause that.
Okay. So get someone to get it.
Yeah, you're down in Pueblo. We do not have a facility in Pueblo. Call your local Napa parts store. Find out who they would use locally. Use that as a reference tool in Pueblo. I wish I had somebody in Pueblo to send you to, but I don't.
Okay.
But yeah, they need to get a good scan tool on that. Find out what's going on. Do some diagnosis, and it shouldn't be too difficult. That one's running poorly enough. They ought to be able to figure that out pretty easily.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate it, George. Thanks for the phone call. Let's go to Russ in Cheyenne. Russ, what's going on today?
Oh, how's it going?
Good, man. Good to hear from you.
Well, I got a guy I work with. He's got a 98 Ranger.
Okay.
And he's had slave cylinder issues with us since he's had it.
Yep.
A few years back, he kept blowing slave cylinders out. And so he finally, I told him to just replace both of them as a unit, get everything from a good source. And so it hasn't been blowing out after he did that, but now, every time it gets cold, it starts getting air in it.
Every time it gets cold, it gets air inside the slave?
It gets air in the system. It bleeds air out every time it gets cold.
That's really weird. Where did he buy the cylinders from?
I want to say he bought them from Rock Auto, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
On those.
But it's like all summer long, it's been perfectly fine. Never had an issue. He lives in the mountains, a little bit away from us here, and got down in the 30s, and he got air in the system again today.
Yeah, it was in the 30s last weekend in some of the higher elevations. So yeah. Well, first things first. Not bad-mouthing Rock Auto, but I don't know where their parts are coming from and what they're using. I would go to a high-quality, Napa/dealer. In fact, dealer is not going to be any different than Napa on that age. So I'd go to a high-quality Napa Slave and Master. I'd put them both on. I'd put the tube in between the two of them on also, and I'd start there.
Okay.
And in all the years I've done it, Russ, and you know how long I've been in the industry, using the high quality stuff on that particular vehicle in particular, clutch stuff period. I never used subgrade stuff on clutches just because you had nothing but problems when I did. I'd try to save a customer money by going to some subpar part or using the part he brought in, and it never did anything but bite me in the rear.
Yeah, and that's what I keep telling him is, I'm sure it's probably the parts you're buying, but he's more interested about the price than he is the quality.
It is the parts he's buying 100%, because that vehicle, you get the right stuff on it, he will not have issues.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dean.
Well, the only way you're going to draw air in the system is through a bad seal.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured. Is it's getting cold, the seal's shrinking down there.
I think you're 100% correct. The only thing, Russ, you could try in the meantime is change over to a higher quality silicone type fluid that doesn't have the temperature variation and see if that doesn't help the situation without changing out all the cylinders. That's the only thing else you could try.
So try silicone.
You got nothing to lose. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Okay.
Throw dot 4.
Yeah, exactly. Throw some dot 4 in it, some silicone type fluid and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm not a really big fan of dot 4, but...
Well, in this case, it's not for brakes. You're not going to miss any. You're not going to hurt anything by trying it. You've already got a problem. You're not going to bother anything if you do it.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll have him do that.
That sounds good, man. Thanks, Russ.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate talking to you. And Russ is our frequent caller from the Cheyenne area. We have a lot, actually, that call from Cheyenne. But Russ, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. And appreciate that very much. So, survival kit. We got about 5 minutes left before we go to our last segment of Drive Radio. I'll finish it up, then we'll get into some truck and trailer maintenance stuff that we'll carry on into Sportsman's of Colorado for that first segment. 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. So, the rest of our kit, and Dean and I were talking through one of the breaks. Yes, you want to use a coffee can. You don't want to use a paint can, because unless you've got the ability to carry a knife, a screwdriver, or something, if you get the lid shut on a paint can too tight, you'll need a screwdriver, which is then going to be inside the can to open it, so you don't want that. So a coffee can works fine. They're cheap. They're easy. Most of you still can find them around. It's not hard to do. So on top of the things we just mentioned, repair kit, sewing kit, dental floss. It's strong and useful as thread for sewing or as a fishing line or for lashing branches or improvising shelters, and it's very small. I never thought about that. Dental floss works really well. It's waxed, it's strong, it's cheap, so throw some dental floss in there. Safety pins. I wouldn't have thought of that one either. Again, building shelters, things along those lines, and some baling wire. Always some baling wire. That one you got to have around no matter what. I would even put in there, I don't see this on the list, duct tape would be on my list for the repair kit. Now, the reason they probably didn't put duct tape on here is because that's big and it's hard to get that in that coffee can. So you'd have to figure out how to get they make some repair kit duct tapes, which is what I'd buy. I wouldn't buy the big, huge roll, but buy the little, small rolls, put that in there. First aid, moleskin, sterile pads, some sterile gauze, some Neosporin, some Band-Aids, aspirin, and some first aid tape. Now, I also will tell you that you can buy, I keep them in all of our fleet trucks, you can buy little first aid kits. They don't cost more than $3 or $4. They're pre-done. They've got all the stuff in this that we're talking about, and they're moldable, or you can bend them, is my point. You could put those down in the side of the coffee can and kind of put that as one of your first items in. By the way, you're going to want to pack this thing strategically so that you can get everything down inside of this can and still have some room left over for anything else you want to add. Nourishment. Honey packets. Hadn't thought of that one. That's a good one. Honey packages available in small foil packages, available at the convenience store, which means you don't even have to pay for them. You grab them on the way out. Instant soup or tea. A couple of packages. Again, small, easy, and by the way, you're going to have something to actually heat with your little can. If you needed to heat some soup or stuff up, you could do that with your candle and the can that you're using, but you're going to make sure you have some bottled water inside the car, which is always on my list. You always. I don't care where you're going. It shouldn't even be in your kit. Just always have a couple of bottled waters in your car at all times. Period. You never know. You never know when you're going to need one of those. Yes. They're cheap. They're easy. You can always have them in there. Your kids might
rotate them out every.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Dean. I mean, they don't go bad that often. You rotate them out every couple of months. The water's not going to go bad if it's sealed up. You just never know when that handy bottle of water is going to come in handy to you. So yeah, make sure you've got that on hand. Optional: a folding saw, a compass. Hard candy, that I put the hard candy in, period. And then the carrying container needs to be a 1 pound size coffee can or a nylon stuff bag. Now, the stuff bag is nice. The downside to a stuff bag is, unless you get the right stuff bag, and you got to go spend money on this, they're not very waterproof. The coffee can with the right lid, in fact, the lid duct taped on, which you'd have some duct tape then that you use to duct tape the lid on, doing it that way keeps the can weatherproof. So say, for example, we had big floods last September. Let's say, for example, your car got underwater somehow and now you're stuck, which, by the way, in Colorado can happen. Having that can sealed makes it a whole lot better when things in it aren't wet than one that's all wet and contaminated, right, Dean?
Yes.
So, go ahead.
The lid didn't pop right off.
That's right. That's right. So duct taping that on makes it nice and easy. That's an easy thing to do. Let's go to Rob in Monument before we go to our next break. Rob, welcome. What's going on today?
Yeah, hi. I have a 2006 Mazda Speed 6.
Okay.
And I got 153,000 miles out of the first set of brakes. And I got them changed, and about 5,000 miles later, they warped the rotors. So I took it back in, and they messed with it, stuff. Eventually gave me my money back and said, take it to the dealer. I took it to the dealer. They put new rotors and pads and everything on it. And 6,000 miles later, they're warping again.
All the other shop did was just shove off the blame back to the dealer, and I don't know why. They're not going to do anything different than the dealer's not going to do anything different than what they did. So question is, are they using, I would hope the dealer would be using, high quality, new parts, etc. Now, this is something else to keep in mind. Little known secret most people don't know about. We don't talk about this much. We probably should, Dean. Just because you go to the dealer doesn't mean you're getting dealer parts.
Correct.
Napa and CarQuest and Advanced and O'Reilly's and every other parts store in town delivers to the dealers just like they do to all the other independents. Now, most people don't realize that, but they do. Why? Let's say that vehicle comes in that day and they don't have all the parts sitting there and they don't want to make a trip to the warehouse, or the warehouse is out, so their first call is going to be to the local Napa store or the local CarQuest store or whoever. So just because you're going to the dealer doesn't always mean you're getting dealer parts. Now, typically it does, and I have dealers emailing me, telling me I'm crazy, etc. Well, I've been in the dealership long enough to know, been around them long enough to know, they don't always use dealer parts. So, first things first, Rob, you have to figure out what parts did they actually use, and then go from there.
They told me they were original equipment parts.
Okay. Next question would be, is there anything else, caliper hardware, master cylinder, anything along those lines that would be causing a caliper to stick, thereby causing extra heat, thereby causing the hard surfaces, which is why the rotors are actually vibrating. The rotors, by the way, do not warp. They create hot spots. That's what makes them, have the shimmy or the vibration that you're getting.
Okay.
So despite what everybody in the industry tells you, rotors don't warp, they get hot spots.
Okay.
Hard spots is what I should say.
I just need somebody who can look at it and tell me what's wrong with it.
Yep. No, you're right. So we've got you're in Monument. You got a Mazda. One of our good experts on that vehicle would be Extreme in Parker. It's worth the drive up the hill a little bit just to Parker, talk to Dennis and the guys at Extreme, and find out what's going on and see if they can't get it resolved.
Yeah, that works great. I work in the tech center. So
there you go. Perfect. You're right in that area. Just stop by, see Dennis. They'll help you out.
I'll go by tomorrow.
All right, Rob, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it very much. And we will be back talking to LJ from Inglewood right after this. Don't go away. Drive Radio, John Rush, your host, 303-477-5600 here on KLZ.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an '82 Fiat on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
I'm going to teach you right now how to find a good, honest mechanic. Ask about the warranty. Their warranty will tell you everything you need to know because their warranty is their word. And Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer the best warranty in the state. 3 years, 36,000 miles on every repair. Always select a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org. 3 years, 36,000 miles. That's all you need to know.
All right, and we are back on last segment, Drive Radio. About 10 minutes left is all. Appreciate all the phone calls today, all the conversation. We enjoy it thoroughly. 303-477-5600 is our number, and we've got Sportsman's of Colorado coming up right after we got off air, and I'm going to help those guys out for the first few minutes, get transition. Scott Watley's not with them today, so I'm going to help him out for just a few minutes. We'll talk about some interesting stuff in regards to hunting, fishing, getting ready to go, all that good stuff. Let's go to, I think I said LJ was up next. LJ, welcome. What's going on today?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Good.
I got a question. I've got an older Honda Accord that's got like 305,000 miles on it.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah, it's like an 87.
Yeah, good for you.
And I've heard, I was wondering, is it okay to, would you recommend putting in Slick 50?
No.
There's nothing that a additive is going to do. Slick 50's claim was, it impregnates the metal and does all this stuff, and it's a bunch of nonsense. In fact, they got sued. None of what they even claim is true. It doesn't do anything along those lines whatsoever. They had to change their whole marketing ploy, and it's not worth it. If you've got 305 and you're doing well with maintenance and you're running the right oil in it, changing it like you need to be, just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, okay. I've heard actually that somebody said that it could actually damage the motor.
Yeah, we are not fans of additives, especially along the lines of Slick 50, so just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, and then I had another question if you had time.
Sure.
I've got another, it's not the same car, but it's a Honda Accord LXI, and it's having an issue where it'll run, it sounds like it's running good. It's not missing or anything. If you have the RPMs up at like above 2,000 RPMs. If it goes down below that, it'll start chugging and then it'll just die. It just won't run at idle. I've checked. I've actually put a different fuel pump in, which is what I thought it might be, a fuel filter, different wires, different distributor cap. And again, it seems like it's running fine when you give it, when it's up above like 2,000 RPMs, but when it goes below it, it'll chug and kind of miss and just, it won't run. And I was kind of curious. I know it's hard to, diagnose over the phone, but
Dean's going to give it a shot. Let's see what we can do.
You probably have a possible vacuum leak or an idle air control issue going on.
Idle air control?
Yep.
Is that like a valve kind of thing?
What year's car again?
87.
87?
Yeah, it's got like a 2-liter motor.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination valve, or motor.
Motor/valve?
Yeah, solenoid. Easy way to put it. I would look for a vacuum leak first.
Well, I did do that, and I found a couple that I kind of, repaired, replaced a couple hoses.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't have to be a hose itself. It could be an EGR valve issue, or an intake gasket leaking. They're real prone to that, I know.
How could you tell on the intake gasket?
A little carb cleaner, engine idling, spray it around if you're careful.
Yeah.
of open sparks.
I mean, what Dean's basically saying is you really have to know what you're looking for and how to do that. And honestly, if you're at that point, my recommendation is have a shop look at that. Inglewood, you can go over and see the guys at Geno's or at Four Seasons in Lakewood, whichever one is closer to you, and have those guys diagnose it for you. That'd be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And what was the first valve you said? The motor?
Idle air control valve.
Idle air control valve. And what about like a computer? Would that cause?
Doubt it. No. Very doubtful.
Okay. Great.
Okay, guys.
I know where Geno's is. So
perfect. All right, LJ. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it very much. Let's see if we can get these other 2 calls in before we get off air. T is up next. What's going on today?
I've got a 99 F250 with a 7.3.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to Mobil One or some, excuse me, some synthetic oil.
Okay.
Do I only put 4,000, 3,000 miles
a year.
Okay. And according to you guys, with that oil, I could get 8 to 10.
You still need to change annually in that, even though you're going to do that little mileage. And if you want to do a good synthetic for that particular motor, personal experience, we've used the AMSOIL 1040 diesel synthetic oil. Works really good in a 7.3 liter diesel.
Instead of a 1540?
Yes.
What about Mobil One?
I've never used Mobil One in a 7.3, so I can't attest to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's just not one I've ever used to try. We did a lot of testing for a particular customer when I had my 4-wheel drive stores, and he was a gas mileage freak, and we figured out that the 1040 AMSOIL, we ended up with the best fuel economy, mileage, oil change intervals, etc., and it worked really well in that 7.3.
Well, explain to me why I have to. It really wouldn't be worth it for me to go to this oil if I have to change it once a year with only 4,000 miles on it.
No, but what happens is even that year's amount of time. Now, I guess I should ask you this: is it stored inside or outside?
Outside.
If it's outside, yes, every year, because you're going to get more condensation built up inside the engine from the temperature changes we have throughout the year, the 12 months out of the year. That's why you need to change every year.
As far as I'm concerned, it really wouldn't be worth the expense.
Well, and if it's not, just run your regular 1540 weight, whatever you've been running for whatever brand of oil, and you're right, for the little bit that you're using it, it probably wouldn't be. You're probably correct in that.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
And I would probably do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the phone call. Last caller, Ed, is up next. Ed and Parker, what's going on today?
Yes, my son has a Dodge 3500. First year of the pollution was the catalytic converters.
Okay.
He towed a trailer, and at about 50,000 miles, the converters plugged up.
Okay.
Is there a fix for that? Just put new converters back on?
New converters back on. And we've talked throughout the show today about it. We didn't plan on it being a catalytic converter day, but it turned out that way. Put high-quality replacement catalytic converters back on it. Do not skimp and save and try to save a buck buying a cheaper brand, or you'll be back into putting them back on it again.
Okay, that's what I wondered. And there's no way to clean old converters.
There is not. Now, when you do that, of course, whoever does it, you'll have to have if you do it yourself, that's fine, but you typically have some cutting and welding to do when you put those on. If you do it yourself, the old cats have money and still have a value to them, so don't just go throwing them in the trash. You want to dispose of those properly, and they have a value so you can get some money back out of them.
Okay. Thanks, that'll do me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling, Ed. We appreciate it. And that pretty much ends the show today. We're going to start talking about just vehicle maintenance in general when we get into Sportsman's of Colorado, what to do with your truck, your trailer, all those good things. We'll have some tips for you along those lines. But we've only got about a minute or two left. I think, Dean, we covered all of our survival stuff. I think I got everything taken care of there, which, by the way, they had some great tips on that, things that I hadn't even thought about. So if you are interested in that, I put that whole article up, again, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Drive Radio. And I would encourage you, if you are not a Facebook user, not everybody is. Finally got my dad finally joined the other day, so I was surprised at that. But you don't have to belong to Facebook to see our page. Okay, it's a public page. You can just go into a URL, type in facebook.com/Drive Radio, all one word. You'll see our page. You'll see our posting. Now, you can't join in. You can't like us. You can't add anything to anything we're talking about, but you can still see everything that we're doing there and the different links that we put up. So I would encourage you to do that, even if you're not a big Facebook fan, which, you know, I know a lot of people aren't. I get that. That's not a big deal. Also, visit our website, drive-radio.com. We put up different things there on a regular basis. All of our new car reviews we put up, and we're also on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, put in the search bar Drive Radio, subscribe to our channel, and we put a lot of good things up there on a pretty regular basis. So, Dean, thanks so much for coming in and helping out. I appreciate it. We give our condolences to Ray Seidel and his family. They had a death in the family, which is why he's not here. Dean came down last minute and filled in. So, again, give him your address and your phone number of where you guys are at.
1801 South Wadsworth, 303-986-5202.
And that's Four Seasons. Matt, on the other side of the glass, our great engineer, Larry Unger, Larry's Automotive, 72nd and Bradburn up in the Westminster area. And please visit all of our Colorado Select facilities. Please use our sponsors. I say that a lot here on KLZ, period, even on the Restoration Show. Please use the sponsors. They are the ones that make this thing happen on a regular basis, so use them daily. And by the way, when you do use them, go in there and say, I listen to KLZ, or I listen to Drive Radio, whatever it happens to be. Let them know you support us, and that's how you keep us on air on a regular basis. Guys, with that, I'm out of here. John Rush, your host. Love you guys. God bless you. Have a great week. I will be back Monday. Rush to Reason. I have a great show in store for you. 2 p.m. Monday. Tune in then. We'll see you next. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
A lot of money coming here.